Hello, Deep Rock Galactic players. Hello, miners. Today I'm bringing to you a full weapons, throwables, and even equipment tier list. We got the 5 tiers here, and me and a couple buddies, two other guys, John and Justin, we will rank every
Yeah.
piece. Yes, yes. Yeah, starting out with the autocannon for Gunner. Let's hear some thoughts.
A beautiful choice. Should probably go first, right, John?
Hmm. Well, I wouldn't describe myself as a gunner main, but I'd put this one right into effective, personally.
B tier. We'll leave it there for now. Counter arguments, Justin? Or arguments?
That's actually funny because I would put it in exactly the same tier. Maybe I could say it could go a bit lower, but it's carried by enough good overclocks that I think you can reasonably get. And the base weapon is decent. Leaves a lot to be desired, though, in my opinion. So I would keep it there, or maybe even mid once you're lower.
For me, this is a difficult one. I want to put it here because it has Big Bertha, it has mortar rounds, and those are both really high damaging overclocks, especially given how much ammo this thing has. Um, the other overclocks, I'm not too sure about. The base weapon, it, like I would just, the base weapon is either here or down here. But I mean, Big Bertha, I mean, can you guys not say
It
B
really
tier?
elevates it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's pretty strong. It does miss out on the crowd killing a bit. Makes it a little bit weaker at trying to take out a huge group because you're having less splash. But the direct damage you get, I mean, kind of more than makes up for it. On a weapon that is never going to be able to deal that much damage in a quick burst and is also never going to get any weak point damage, like getting a lot of direct damage is pretty good.
Yeah,
There's also
this doesn't get,
neurotoxic payload.
yeah, that's
Oh yeah,
true.
no extra weak point. No weak point bonus is what I should say because it can hit a weak point, but it doesn't get any extra.
That's for the
Like
base
the
weapon.
bulldog. Oh yeah. I mean the entire weapon, it'll never get weak point bonus.
And I
Hitting a
think
2
that's
point.
where, sorry,
Oh,
Justin.
go ahead.
I think that's where my perspective bias mainly comes in because I tend towards weak spot gratification.
Yeah, me too.
I've
And
always
that's
been
kind of the same
very
thing.
preferential to neurotoxin payload because I love its ability to apply mass debuffs and debilitate entire swarms. Really, and if I had to describe it, plainly, I think that Thunderhead might be Gunner's best support weapon.
Even above the minigun.
Support as in being the debilitating platform for the rest of the team
With neurotoxin. Okay, I
with
get
its
that.
ability to hit pretty virtually every target in a wide area
Yeah, that's the
on the
thing that
ground.
kind of keeps the weapon from feeling like it's ever too bad. 'Cause it's always damaging everyone in a group rather evenly. And if there's like a very particularly big threat, you can just hit them directly with your shells, and the explosions will still hit everyone around him, pretty much killing them off, in a bit of time. Not instantly, but it's the best you can hope for. I mean, there's mortar rounds can clear up an entire swarm super quick.
That's true.
Neurotoxin also, like you said, spreading that poison just and using the fear upgrade. When you consider that the fear upgrade goes pretty well with poison, just send enemies running and then they go and die before they can even come back to you. It's pretty absurd and great ammo economy too. So you can do that the whole mission for the most part.
I was about to
Just
say that. I'd say it's generally more ammo efficient than the minigun. It's
yeah,
not quite on the
definitely.
level of ammo efficiency as some builds that the Hurricane offers, but I'd say it um has more of a because you can because it has such an AOE factor. Less of those shots go to waste compared to a minigun. for sure.
Absolutely true, yeah. And then the inverse is also kind of true. It'll always take longer than a minigun to kill anything that's very big or healthy, but it's one of the trade-offs, you know. It's kind of how the weapon is built. And if you want, you can always take more damage. Big Bertha, again, adds so much more damage. Plenty of ways to get damage. Even the cleans are pretty good on this, like more ammo, faster reload,
Mhm.
more AoE damage and size. Just very solid all around. So I would put it, yeah, pretty mid tier.
So for
Or I
my
guess in that
final
case, it's good.
thoughts on this
Oh
is with
yes.
some overclocks, it could be up here, some builds, but generally, I think yes, effective is fine. Now, I have noticed that the list has messed up a little bit. We'll just keep going with
Oh wow.
gunners. Yeah, it's pretty bad, but minigun, minigun, John,
I would put that in mission control approves.
I see reasons.
So the minigun, again, I'm not going to deny my personal tastes and biases, but I feel like the minigun has some builds that are extremely gratifying in the moment.
Such as
You have lead. Correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but lead storm, right?
Yes.
You have overclocks like lead storm that really turns it into Gunner's ultimate weak point exploiter. You have builds like I know this overclock has been controversial since the beginning of time, but I've always been privy to bullet hell and its ability to apply. Well, I like to call it stun hell because I always run it with stun, and it has this unholy. Another thing I really like about the minigun, actually, before I go on, I love its ability to penetrate the terrain. There are so
Hmm.
many situations in this game where its penetration comes in handy because for the most part, we're in these confined and claustrophobic environments.
Hmm. I have seen you
It
personally
boasts
just stun just hordes of enemies. They're just all stunned.
exactly. I mean, I think we'd have to go actually get to the overclock tier list to justify um, delving super deep into the details, but the minigun, at the expense of ammo efficiency compared to the Thunderhead, I would say that in general it has builds that just excel so massively in the majority of situations that the game will put you in. It combines both gratification and the ability to attack multiple targets at once.
Absolutely. Justin, what do you think about displacement?
I completely agree with it.
Hmm.
And for almost the exact same reasons. And I would actually mostly chalk it up just to the fact that this weapon has stun on it by default. 1 second of stun, and it's like a
Yeah,
what, 20% chance to stun. This thing shoots so fast, you're gonna roll that chance eventually. And a 1 second stun is not crazy. Enemies will escape that, but it does let you line up more weak point hits. It interrupts attacks also, like Orion Spit, other nasty nuisances. And then you can upgrade it for a 3 second duration, and it's a 40% chance.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
the minigun
But
is an excellent synergy with the grenades as well, in
that
my
yeah,
opinion,
that's very
especially
true.
incendiary grenade.
Also, because you don't have any of that AOE really, so no explosions other than aggressive venting tier 5. Not very nice. I mean, you have to spend a lot of ammo just to get an explosion around you. It's decent, but not something you can rely on all the time or in like a quick pinch. So this weapon kind of struggles in that way. Bullet hell, like John said, is gonna chain to multiple enemies, kind of just hit a lot of them that you never would be able to
Mm-hmm.
normally.
It lets a brain dead player like me just shoot and be effective.
I have
uh,
personally seen you kill leeches and septics from angles that no other weapon could because of bullet hell. So,
Yes.
yeah, that the ability to track the enemies. See, it won't explode, but it'll lock onto an enemy and hit them and then stun them, deal a bit of damage. Like it's almost as good, almost as good. And there is
yeah.
blow through also. Yeah, gives the ability to penetrate one more target. That goes with bullet hell. That goes with the weapon just normally, kind of just giving you the ability to hit two enemies lined up.
I would say, this being Gunner's first weapon, it's also just a great introduction to the class. You never feel. I remember when I first started, I thought I would have to reload when playing Gunner. I never felt that way. I mean, I don't even think it reloads.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it
just
doesn't.
has
No.
to
No, it can
cool
only
down,
overheat.
Right.
and
Yeah,
that's
And
the
the
best
builds,
part.
there are upgrade permutations which you can make that make the weapon extremely unprone to overheating, especially in the right circumstances.
and even beneficial because there is this one where it makes the weapon catch on fire, catch the other enemies on fire as well. So,
Yes, at high heat, hot bullets, I think, and those bullets will start heating enemies up while you're at like a high heat level. Rewards being at high heat. I mean, there's Cold as the Grave also that cools the gun down with every kill, so you can
mhm.
avoid overheating. There's tier 1 cooling, which is 100% extra cooling rate, so just doubling that cooling speed.
And I
Pretty
guess
absurd.
the biggest drawback is really just the ammo efficiency.
Yeah, that's
And I'd
true.
almost drop it down. I would almost drop it down to the tier if the game were generally more unforgiving when it comes to nitro supply.
Hmm. I
But
mean,
I
there
feel
there
like
are
that's
those
more often
missions.
than not the case.
More often than not, no, I would say.
Especially if you have like a scout who just likes to mine nitro.
Yeah,
Yeah, me.
I agree
Yeah.
with this placement as well. Um, yeah, it's a great one.
Oh,
Gonna
and yeah,
move
the
on.
overclocks.
Oh yeah.
Just one last thing. I mean, we didn't talk about a lot of them because those two were so good, the unstable, but it has a bunch of balance. They're all very good. Um, a lot of them boost damage, exhaust vectoring boost damage,
Yeah,
burning
that's another thing.
hell, spreads fire.
I can't think of an overclock that sets the minigun back. So that's another factor.
The cleans are just
Except
the
that
damage
one
boost.
where I, the one where you can't move, but it boosts damage tremendously.
Lead
Which one
storm,
is
yeah,
that? Okay, let's.
Yeah.
double lead storm basically. It's named after the weapon
Oh
itself.
yeah, I
But it gives
see.
so much damage that you just shred an enemy. And you also lose out on stun when you take that, but the direct damage is so good you kill them pretty much instantly. And if you
I don't
do
think the
have that
Thunderhead.
blow
Sorry.
through, it's gonna go through no problem. And it's gonna hit two enemies with every shot, kind of doubling your effective ammo and like how many kills you get per ammo. It can be very good. You just have to apply it a little smarter. But honestly, I think when you get good at this game, this weapon kind of shines maybe a little bit above the autocannon.
Retroactively, I can't even think of an overclock that massively sets the Thunderhead back either. But I would definitely say the Thunderhead has had more adjustments and tweaks made to its ratios and figures, especially with the overclocks compared to the Lead Storm. If anything,
Yeah.
I feel like overclocks like aggressive venting and bullet hell have actually been improved
Oh yeah,
over
they
time.
have. It's just such a solid weapon.
Carpet Bomber, I know, has undergone and Neurotoxin have been revised in controversial ways, from what I understand.
Yes. Sadly.
Well, yeah, I agree with this placement. Mission approves. Mission control approves. Moving on to the Hurricane. Gunner's third
Yes.
primary. Yes, great,
I
great.
think you can start with this one, Justin. You're the expert.
Well, it's definitely my favorite. And honestly, this is one of the first weapons I'd put in the top tier personally. And the reason, I guess, kind of simply, is I feel like it combines the two things that make those previous weapons so good and puts them into one. So you do get
Hmm.
explosions, and you do get a direct hit from a rocket, which can exploit weak points. And this weapon, unlike the other two gunner primaries, this weapon actually gets a weak point bonus of 50% if you take that in tier 4, which you kind of, you should. I mean, 50% extra damage on every direct hit. It's going to
Okay.
help you with those oppressors and those praetorians, especially with their one times weak point, where they don't really take much damage there unless you have bonus damage.
Hmm.
This weapon also has stun I mean, it's combining the stunning of the minigun with the explosions of the autocannon,
Mm,
and you can stun like 5, 10, however many enemies in one rocket, and just keep blasting them with damage and damage. And that's just the base gun. That's without any overclocks. And that's why I think this really shines because those two weapons, the minigun strong, the autocannon strong, but they really need overclocks to start feeling great. Whereas this weapon just kind of feels great out of the box. At least for me, the way I use it, with a lot of stun and
mm.
pretty good damage.
And also, it's pretty ammo efficient considering you can control the rockets.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
just perfect. Actually, perfect accuracy. So that's another thing it has. Even the minigun, which is you know maybe his longest range primary, maybe not anymore because this thing just goes exactly where you point it, and you can hit every single shot on a weak point, or you can shoot an enemy in the middle of a group just to make sure that everyone gets damaged evenly. I mean, very accurate, very versatile. Yeah.
What do you think, John?
I think all of those details were succinctly put. And if I had to make a précis of this weapon, so it's not as instantly gratifying as the Leadstorm or the Thunderhead, in my opinion, but that's actually amazing in a paradoxical way because even though it has slow but maneuverable projectiles, they cascade, especially with and like Justin said, this is one of the weapons that shines without overclocks. However, all of its ir- irrespective of the overclock, its its shots always cascade into greater effects, and I love that because even though I love to talk about environments and circumstances, but and I love to talk about environments and circumstances a lot, but despite the slower pace of this weapon, and I suppose its seeming superficially its orientation towards range, it excels so well, even in close quarter situations, because of its
Yes.
Mhm.
cascading and compounding effects.
Absolutely, yes. Honestly, with homebrew, I use this one with homebrew. It
No,
feels
yeah.
excellent. Feels excellent. Um, it really deals with Praetorians and oppressors super well. Any armored enemy like grunt guards, super well with homebrew. Any other good overclocks? Because I haven't tried this weapon that much.
Well, I have a bias
Oh,
towards
they're
Mind
all
Layer
good.
system.
Mind
Yeah,
layer.
that's a very good one. Just laying mines in the ground, they explode for extra range, extra explosive damage. They no longer lock on, and I think you lose a bit of ammo, but you get so much value out of laying them into the ground that when you're fighting ground-based enemies, which is most missions, you're just
Yes,
getting this insane value. Not only are you saving ammo and stretching out ammo, you're also killing enemies just very, very quickly. And you can still kind of free fire those rockets if you have to.
really.
Yeah, with enough dispersal, that can actually start disrupting the Glyphid spawn patterns. This is especially noticeable on escort duty, where their spawning paradigms tend to be more predictable
Yeah.
because of the artificial tubes created by Beretta.
That's where you can exploit it the best anytime you know where the enemies can go or where they have no other choice but to go somewhere. You just put mines there and yeah, you blow them up. It
And
takes a bit of time to set up, I guess, but because the weapon does shoot pretty slow, it's got the slowest firing rate, like 4 to 5 rockets per second, but it's a consistent rate.
And the
I can say that
rockets.
much.
I think
Yes,
this
and
is
they're
hands down
rockets.
Gunner's best weapon. And as a matter of fact, I wish I had mentioned this for. I wish I'd mentioned this when I was talking about the previous two weapons, but I think this is one of the best weapons in the game against Mactera, hands down.
Ooh.
That's so true because
Certainly for
you're
Gunner.
not gonna waste any shots like with the autocannon.
Mm-mm.
And the minigun just kind of takes too long to hit too many of them. They don't really line up back to front. They're always side to side, so it's not like you can shoot through them.
Absolutely.
There is the slower pace factor, but you can always the course correction that the Hurricane offers really screws over what's this called? Their tendency to buzz paradoxically to try and avoid your shots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I hate when they do
Yeah.
that. which they do constantly.
And then,
And
hmm,
I'll stress this to the end of time. That course correction allows you to get maximum value from those shots that you fire. Because even if I'm able to accomplish more or less the same thing with the lead storm, I'm still going to be wasting maybe like 5 to 8 shots per Mactera
Yeah, definitely.
making those
Especially with
corrections.
how it's so inaccurate when you start firing. You have to build it up.
Unless I'm auto locking with bullet hell, but of course, like that's not exactly an ammo. That's a build. That's a build that knowingly trades ammo efficiency to a higher degree.
Yes.
you could always take
Um.
homebrew as well if you want faster shots with more damage. So you have
Oh
that
yeah, I was
option.
gonna say that one's one of the best. I mean, so much direct. That kind of makes it like an assault rifle, but that shoots rockets. It loses a lot of its splash anyway when it's like that, but very, very powerful.
Hmm.
Quickly killing most terrible. And you can always pick up extra kills as gunner using your grenades. Even secondaries can be tweaked to deal with crowds instead of dealing with single enemies. So you can kind of build this to be sort of versatile, making up, with other things when you have all of your overclocks and upgrades unlocked. There's
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
not even a single bad overclock for this weapon at all. I'm just looking them over. I mean, so many unstables. Salvo module with the shotgun shot of rockets is crazy up close, destroys a whole crowd.
Never used
I
it.
suppose
Rocket
plasma burster
barrage.
missiles is a little controversial, but I can't say it's a bad
It's
overclock.
good.
It
Yeah,
just it requires a specific implementation of the weapon, I'd say. But it's still fun and it's spectacular to use just because of how well it's fun because it has a spectacular effect on the
and it can be
rockets.
quite efficient as you get a lot of efficiency out of just holding rockets into enemies. Hopefully, if you take stun, which I feel like you pretty much always should, you'll be able to hold those enemies in place at least so that they can keep getting hit by those rockets over and over.
Yes.
Hmm. I haven't used
And the
this
clean bullet.
enough, honestly. I haven't used it enough. Definitely, I agree with the placement. Hmm.
Yeah, you'll love it when you get to use it more.
Anything else to say on this one?
Um,
Good to.
let's see. I feel like there was something I wanted to say in relation to the minigun.
Ooh.
Oh, right, the fire. I guess I didn't touch on that with the minigun, but the gunner, kind of his element is fire, other than explosive. He's got explosions and fire from his grenades, obviously, which we'll get to later. But the minigun can spread fire, and this rocket can spread fire off of the tier 5 upgrade. And even though it cuts into your damage, makes your damage weaker, it can spread the heat between enemies, burning little ones, killing them, kind of being efficient, and it unlocks volatile bullets from the pistol, which we'll also get to later, which is very absurd. So that's another thing I think just kind of lifts this weapon up, that easy fire access.
Awesome. Well, yeah.
I
We'll
also
leave
think
it.
this weapon clearly has the best idle reload animation where he
Oh
just takes
yeah,
the rocket and goes. Yeah.
it's very satisfying. Yeah. Well, moving on from gunner primaries, sorry. Moving into secondaries, and for the bulldog, I'm just gonna put him right here.
That's pretty astute, honestly. I think I'd agree with that.
What do you think, John?
So I suppose this will be a preface for all upcoming secondary weapons. I would say of all the classes, Gunner's secondaries feel the most like actual secondary weapons. So, like backup. Well, you know what I mean. Like he has 3 weapons that are literally pistols,
Yeah.
and arguably are the least independently like. I just think there's such a. I think Gunner's secondaries have the largest gap between the
Mm.
primaries.
Yeah, kind of.
But the Bulldog, now, I would definitely say the Bulldog is his least ammo efficient secondary, but it has it has the I'd say it has really spectacular build versatility. There are ways that there are creative ways that you can build this weapon so that you get the most out of headshots, for example. with ricocheting. You can apply neurotoxin. You can go elephant rounds, and then you can just like maximize. You I think of it as like a parrying effect. So for what I might be lacking with my primary, like if I'm running Thunderhead, I can go elephant rounds with Bulldog, and then just despite my rather limited ammo pool, I can massively compensate for like what my primary doesn't have in that moment.
Right, which is accuracy and damage.
hmm
Hmm. I mean,
The
even just
Bulldog, I think it's just
base. Yeah,
sorry.
even just base, I think it has good accuracy and decent enough damage for secondary.
Oh yeah.
So, what about the placement though? You guys think it should be lower?
No, honestly, I would say there because I would just echo everything Sean just said. Like pretty much spot on. Can be very versatile. I mean, I often run magic bullets, which ricochets bullets, and I take that with neurotoxin and explosive rounds, which are both available on the weapon just, as base. And that lets you just bounce bullets off of one enemy to the other, splashing onto a bunch of them, and then, hopefully poisoning all of them to slow them down, deal a lot of damage over time. And that's kind of like a weird thing because this is more so a weapon that, like you said, high accuracy and high damage per shot, like quick burst. But you can just push it into another role,
Hmm.
and then your primary weapon, which is your main arm, I guess, with much more ammo, can be dedicated toward single target, like with homebrew, right, on those rockets.
Hmm.
And you just completely pick it up with this little pistol. I mean, but the damage is very high. There's volatile bullets, like I was just mentioning, which gets plus 300% damage versus burning enemies. That's absurd. That's like 4 times damage if they're burning first. So if you spread heat on them, like with the rockets or the minigun, sadly the Thunderhead. That's why I think the Thunderhead's kind of also the lowest. It can't get the fire to get the volatile, and just that one interaction of overclocks, just it makes it so bad. Once you start using volatile bullets on this bulldog, you'll know the truth.
I don't have the overclock yet. Yeah, I'll be watching out. Right.
Oh god, when you get it.
It's just an epic secondary when I think about it. You can build it in ways that make every shot compound and cascade into something greater relative
Yeah,
to its purpose and place in the game. Which is something
especially just the
I'll
damage.
always be emphasizing because, like, again, like I just think it's hard to compare Gunner's secondary because I feel like Gunner is the class that's built around his primary the most. Because compared to the other classes, his primaries just have a very high ammo pool, and they typically excel at sustained fire.
And damaging many
Absolutely.
targets, sort of.
Yes,
Well, I guess there's no disagreement here on this placement.
Oh yeah, no.
That being known, also it's a revolver in a space game, you know?
Oh yeah. Did I mention there's a 6 shooter overclock that gives you 6 rounds, like a cowboy revolver, and it increases the rate of fire to like 4 rounds per second. You can just shoot those bullets so fast, like literally cowboy mode. Snipe Mac Terror out of the air, destroy single big targets. Even homebrew powder is good. It can reduce damage by 25% or add 100% on top. So it's kind of like a dice roll, but the odds are in your favor. So it really pays off. Even the clean is just like a chain hit. Like, even that's pretty decent.
Hmm.
Just great all around. Yeah, that damage is pretty good. And you probably want to take ammo to make up for the lack of bullets. But yeah, amazing weapon. Probably my favorite, honestly. Secondary for this guy.
Oh, moving on though. We have the arm score coil gun right here. Now this is a tricky one.
Yeah, you said it, bro. I
I
wouldn't even know.
John,
I would put this one in effective personally.
Probably, yeah.
hmm.
Um, this weapon, I would say, obviously it's unique in how it's one shot, fire and forget. But there are a few builds of this gun that I respect.
Mhm.
Like what's the one I'm thinking of? The one that has like the compounding terrain.
Oh, the mole.
Well, the mole, yes.
Overclock.
I almost said hedgehog for some stupid reason. My bad. Yeah, but
Is that an upgrade or over?
That's
so
an overclock, a balanced one.
that's an overclock, yes. But again, but without going on too much of a tangent with regards to overclocks, I do think this gun has a respectable niche with its terrain penetration because it gives it does have now what's interesting is that it actually has a bit less range than the bulldog or even the burst pistol because its little projectile actually does have a it's not hit scan, right, Justin?
I think it might be.
Like the is it hit scan or I'm actually trying to think.
If it
Maybe
isn't,
not.
it's very quick because I have sniped things
Yeah.
pretty far. This weapon can go infinite.
Because
Not through terrain though.
the middle, that little tube that it, or the little tube it leaves behind in the terrain
Yeah.
when it penetrates it, that makes me think that it might not be hit scan, but yeah, I'd have to like confirm. But anyway, so I do think that I do think its ability to penetrate targets at a reasonable penetrate the terrain at a reasonable distance is a very respectable niche because we often find ourselves in situations where sneaking up on a shipball infector, isn't always practical.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. Or you can also shoot oppressors through their armor with this
Yeah.
Yes.
weapon.
Yes, that
Probably
too.
the
It could
best
take
thing.
out cave leeches safely without line of sight. Like I just have a personal degree of respect for um not being able to engage targets without line of sight in this game.
Hmm. Absolutely, man. It's super cool design wise, and the fact that you can just shoot through terrain is great. Um, it is a one shot thing though. It requires a lot of foresight. I guess that's why it's not up here. Um,
Yeah. Although it used to be worse, honestly. If it was the old one, I think it would be probably one tier lower, or maybe even two tiers lower. It was kind of scuffed at a certain point.
are there any standout overclocks for this one?
The mole, definitely, as John was talking about. So the gun does shoot through terrain. Um, it also penetrates enemies infinitely. If you line up theoretically, 1,000 enemies, it would pierce them. You're never going to fight 1,000 enemies, but you might fight 30 at once, and this would penetrate through all 30, including the unbreakable armor of bosses or oppressors. Just won't go through terrain infinitely. But the mole, which is probably my favorite and the one I use the most, gives you extra damage every time you pierce a new piece of terrain. And
That
it's like
sounds
plus 100.
that
Yeah, on
sounds
top of
cool.
the 100 that it already
It's
is.
crazy. Like
Super strong.
the bonus of opportunity and right circumstances is just too great for me to sleep on. Just to consider it like a lower tier personally.
And you can turn yourself into a mole with it, especially if you have like a driller or Engie who can either remove terrain to put you in a hole, then you can just pierce terrain, or put up some platforms to shoot through. That counts as a terrain penetration, giving you that extra like 100 damage every time you go through. And if you line up like in the crystal caverns or somewhere else where there's a ton of terrain, it'll just go through once, twice, maybe three times, and then catch that much damage to spit out onto an enemy. I almost
If
feel like it should be like this by default, but maybe that would be too strong.
if I really think about it, I think the one aspect that makes me, and again, because I'm not going to I'm going to acknowledge some personal biases I may have, my own tendencies and preferences for loadouts. But I feel like one aspect of this weapon that causes it to drag behind a little is I feel like too many upgrades and overclocks try to overemphasize the trail that it leaves behind with each shot. When most of the time I'm going to be like when I'm gunner, like I'm trying to when I'm gunner, I feel like I'm trying to apply debuffs and debilitate enemies with my primary. It's not my first thought, like to switch to the coil gun and then to leave behind like a thin trail.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not what it's just not the it's just not what occurs to me. That might be because we always play has 5, but in the heat of the moment, that's just what I'm thinking.
I would say I would contrast that a little bit because I do kind of like those trails, especially electric trail, which slows down enemies and adds another like half of damage in electricity. Just the
The
upgrades in
trail
general,
though
actually.
is it
Oh
really
yeah,
thin? I mean, enemies tend to walk into it.
it's let's see, how big is it by default? By default, it's like 0.3 meters, not very much. Dilated injector system is the tier 5 upgrade to that, and that gives it 1.3 meter radius. Big enough to catch multiple enemies. I guess the more impressive thing about the line is that it goes, kind of almost forever. So if you shoot this in a tunnel and enemies are crawling up the tunnel toward you, they'll be inside that trail the whole time taking damage. It's more so for finishing off anyone who survives that hit, or kind of trying to kill little guys walking through it, or slow people down and do a bit of damage so that you can get them with the next shot, or maybe switch to a different weapon. It's kind of more like a side utility. Does feel a bit weak without the electricity. I've never even used the other upgrade, which is the fire upgrade, kind of to mix with Gunner's fire theme. I think it blows enemies up every time you hit them and they're on fire.
Necrothermal Catalyst.
Yeah, I don't use it often, but I do believe it's pretty good. You can technically set a bunch of enemies on fire, penetrate, hit a bunch of them, and then cause a bunch of explosions, but
It
it's
syncs
a bit of
well
setup.
with incendiary grenades quite
Oh, yeah,
often. It's
that's
another
the
I'd,
best.
I'd say it's another build of opportunity, but it excels when those circumstances when those conditions align. It is a rather spectacular explosion. But I don't like having to like again. I absolutely agree with your assessment of like the electric trail upgrade. However, I don't like having to make that choice between the like in my mind I'm so uh I'm so attracted to the spectacle and to the circumstantial benefits of necrothermal catalyst, and it's just hard for me to what I mean. It's just hard for me to trade to make that trade.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you do think it's pretty valuable, huh?
I do, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd
it's
say
certainly not bad.
it almost feels it's interesting for Gunner because I feel like this would be I feel like the secondary resembles like a secondary that driller would get. There's just something
Yeah,
that feels experimental.
penetration.
There's something that just feels experimental about it.
It's a bit weird, you know?
Mhm.
It does
It's
seem like they hobbled it together, kind of.
yeah.
Engineer burst that one. And it is a weird idea, like trying to penetrate a bunch of enemies and be stronger against. But in that way, it fits Gunner's theme because he's trying to be strong against every type of threat, right? And like
Yes.
fighting everyone all at once. And this weapon literally does that. It penetrates through everyone and deals a pretty good, like over 100 damage to each of them. You can take extra damage. You can take, the tier 2 upgrades are pretty cool. Overcharger gives you more damage for holding it down. Then there's controlled magnetic flow, which lets you shoot like a half charge or even a quarter charge or a three-quarter charge. Lets you save up on ammo. It lets you spam those lines at like almost no ammo cost. As you shoot like a half shot, it takes half ammo, but it still does a full trail. Also, it has fear and stun, which are really good, and you just like to have those whenever you're surrounded by a bunch of things. Kind of protects you at close range too. You can stun things as they try to swarm you. And there's even a shockwave upgrade and a like temporary shield while it's charging up to protect you at close range.
If I'm
Pretty
not
good
mistaken,
upgrades.
does this weapon actually have the fewest available upgrades to directly that which directly modify the total ammo supply and damage? Is
It
that
only
only tier
has
one?
one. Yeah, only tier 1 adds a bunch of ammo. And it's a
You know,
pretty good ammo.
that's actually another thing that I respect about it because at least this weapon doesn't like constantly make you trade,
Yeah, right.
those benefits for damage or ammo.
I feel like the later weapons, like the third wave of weapons, they got rid of that idea of choosing between damage and ammo like more than once. Like it's just going to be once, it's either this or that, and that's your whole build. And it works pretty well because I mean, Who wants to really go crazy mathing out a bunch of different like you know, choices to find out which is the most mathematically sound when you can just make it much more simple?
Hmm.
Well, with that being said, we move on so it's not 5 hours.
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's a good spot for it. His
Yeah.
final secondary. This is the burst gun. And I don't have much experience with this one, although the overclock, what is it, lead something?
Lead spray.
Let's spray.
Yes. It just deals so much damage up close in a burst, and I mean, it's really strong. I could put it right below the bulldog. What do you guys think?
People don't like this weapon that much. I don't think it's super popular and I barely see it, but I really agree. It's kind of like a slightly more versatile bulldog. The upgrades are cool. The fact that you can get a guaranteed stun instead of a stun chance is nice when you hit all 3 shots. That weak point damage is pretty strong. Extra ammo's good. Armor breaking is surprisingly good. If you don't have armor breaking on your primaries, you can slap it on this and it actually will break it a bit. There's
I
a
think it's my favorite
damage.
secondary for Gunner, personally,
Oh yeah, me too. I would
because
say.
I feel like if I'm expecting general conditions, like relative to Deep Rock's game design, I feel like I'll either run Bulldog or the coil gun, depending on how I'm feeling or what my taste for the mission might be. But I feel like I'm often bringing the the burst fire when I'm expecting certain conditions.
Like
Like if I'm
escort
expecting
rocks.
exactly, exactly like despite being a secondary weapon, or despite being a true secondary, there's almost nothing else in the game that can destroy the rocks, the Amaran rocks, as effectively as Lead Spray. And then you're not detracting from your main weapon's ammo either. But just in general, like yeah. So I feel like I'm packing the burst pistol like when I know certain things are coming.
Yeah, it's that quick killer in a way that the bulldog kind of struggles to hit because the bulldog, yeah, they need to set something on fire, take elephant rounds, which is less bullet and then crazy recoil, or take like 6 shooter for fast. You have to kind of like build it up a little bit, but this thing, even without overclocks, can deal pretty surprising amount of damage and
I
not run
think
out of bullets
compact
that
mags is
quickly.
a decent overclock as well, because it actually makes it rather ammo efficient.
Oh yeah, the ton of ammo balanced. I love that one.
What
Undoubtedly,
about
though, this weapon suffers at range compared to the other two.
range? What about
Yeah, but
electro minelets? You guys ever use that?
I have. It's actually not so bad. Um, yeah, it leaves little electric mines in the ground, slows the enemies down pretty well. And the cool thing about it, this weapon actually has blow through in the first tier to shoot through enemies, and it only penetrates once. But by grabbing minelets and blow through, you can shoot an enemy through his face towards the ground, and then the same bullets that rip through his body now become mines that he's stepping on, and then they explode on his feet, and then he's slowed by electricity, taking electric damage, and he's just pretty easy to finish off. Won't work against flyers, but it's honestly pretty good. It's very underrated, especially compared to the other one, micro flechettes. It's so weak. Oh my god, I hate it so much.
Mhm.
You get a ton of ammo and lose so much damage, and it kills things so slowly. That's like the only way to make this weapon really bad. That or like maybe experimental rounds, which loses a bit of ammo to get a lot of damage.
Come to think of it, is this the first weapon we've covered so far that actually has like a paradoxical overclock by your
Sort of,
description?
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, these didn't really have such bad overclocks. This one kind of does though. I hate that micro flechette. Even the worst one on the coil gun, they kind of buff. The one that's all that ammo, they give it better damage
How
than it
about the
used to have.
placement though? Would you guys say above bulldog or just, or maybe
You
even
know,
here?
oh my gosh, that's actually kind of tough. Because
as
there are
far as I'm
things
concerned,
about
it's
it that
kind of
are
equal.
better. It is
Mentally, to
pretty
me, it's
even.
kind of equal to Bulldog. I can't really like put it above or below. especially with my perspective bias. That you know, in my case, I think of Gunner more as his primary than the secondary, and I think that equalizes them a little bit.
Honestly, I might actually put it above because when I think about players in general, they need things that are kind of easy, and it's not that hard to shoot those little bursts at enemies and hit all 3 hits, which can get you a stun. It's not really that hard to get. Like, the bulldog is like you really have to get those shots. Every shot you miss is such a big waste.
That's true. Yeah.
The
Hmm.
burst is a lot less punishing in that regard. And all
I
those
mean,
good
if it means
overclock.
anything, I did say that the burst is typically the Gunner secondary that I pack for certain conditions compared to the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah, even out of the box, even without a lot of upgrades. The cleans are pretty strong too. I use those a lot actually.
Oh man. I guess. Yeah. That's the placement.
Maybe the word I was looking for was specialized. Yeah, I feel like of all for me at least, the burst is the most specialized pick. So maybe that does mean something for my placement in the long run.
Okay. Well, moving on from this, from the burst, I guess we're going into scout now. Scout and his primaries. We're starting off
My
with your favorite class. Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting off with the GK2. And this one, it's your standard assault rifle. Honestly, I mean, you just can't go wrong. You just can't.
Agreed. Very agreed with that placement. Sometimes I honestly I even think it might be stronger than the minigun in a way. Not that they really compete with each other because they're different class weapons, but it can kill so quickly, so accurately.
What do you think,
Minigun has
John?
to build up that accuracy.
I think this is a B tier for John, but I don't know.
Actually, I agree with this. Definitely. This is a weapon. Although, I mean, I guess if we're going off of these categories, it's just hard for me to either put it at the very top of effective, or somewhere in mission control approves.
Hmm,
When in the grand scheme, relative to everything else. But I absolutely agree.
I see. Notable overclocks. AI stability engine. Really strong weak point.
And
Sustained
great accuracy.
damage. Great accuracy. The opposite one for that, I don't have it. It's the one that makes it shoot super fast. What's it
Oh my
called?
gosh, what is it called? Overclocked firing mechanism.
That's my favorite. I
Plus 3
mean,
rate of
my
fire.
signature my signature loadout for this weapon for the GK2 is super auto.
Super auto.
And it's pretty good. It's probably the
I like
best
to
DPS on this weapon.
best DPS by time ratio,
Yeah, just the sheer bullets.
the gratification effect. And my logic for running that more often than not is that I feel like Scout can afford to waste ammo on priority targets more than the other classes.
Absolutely. Due to his mobility, yeah.
Like,
Mm,
yeah, when its mobility is factored in, I think it's better if Scout just unloads and quickly neutralizes a threat like a menace or a septic, an oppressor, rather than like having an NG shoot extra, you know use extra breach cutter shots or PGLs,
Yeah,
use more battery of
exactly.
the.
It's all about the assassinations, mid to long range, even close range though.
Exactly,
Worse
no,
at any range.
that's the perfect word, assassin. Yeah, I feel that's my favorite Scout assassin build personally.
it has a good amount of ammo, good fire rate, um, does decent damage considering the ammo and fire rate. I mean, it's just the perfect beginner weapon too. Like
Yeah,
all things
it's
considered,
definitely deserves to be the first weapon he gets.
which it is,
I would
yes.
uh, I would say that the damage, you said it is good. It's actually almost perfect. It deals just enough damage to kill the Swarmer in one bullet. So even when you pull this out and this guy's not that good at killing a ton of enemies, especially a ton of little enemies, this can one-shot each and every one of them. And then it still just packs a lot of good damage to any sort of target in the game. As long as you can hit a weak point, that's where it's strongest. If it's not hitting weak points, it's losing effectiveness.
Definitely, yeah.
It gets a weak point bonus of 20% if you want. Can get 50% stun with that tier 5 stun. Even more fire rate. It can get near perfect accuracy. Just great in general. The cleans are good. Faster rate of fire. Even homebrew powder, which people like to hate on. It's one of those. I think it's one of the best. Just rolling that damage over and over. From magazine to magazine, you do get a lot of value and a lot of shots that are over 100% power. AI stability, like you said, is the best sniper. Really good for weak points. Electrify and reload. It's weird. You can electrocute enemies though, and it works better than it used to. So that kind of is the crowd control version of this weapon. Bullets of Mercy is good for any sort of element or like debuff. If you're doing that with your build, you just get a ton of extra
That
damage.
really was this weapon's shining signature overclock
Oh
prior to
yeah,
maybe season 3.
probably.
Maybe it
It's not
still
my
is.
favorite anymore, but it is really strong. I mean, against electrocuted, frozen, stunned, burning, and poisoned enemies, you get like 50% extra damage. That's fucking crazy.
Battle Frenzy that's one of my favorite upgrades in the whole game. Just because it accentuates my scout mobility even more.
Yeah, every kill gives you more speed and like perfect accuracy for like a couple seconds, right? Really good.
Yes.
You just zip around shooting people like a psychopath. Works on pretty much every overclock and build too. Though, oh wait,
Mhm.
there's one thing I have to say. It's very important. They added an overclock, the latest overclock for this weapon, and it's called Burst Fire. And it's the worst fucking overclock they've ever put in the game. I swear to God, why did they put
It's like
this? To make the gun a 3-shot burst, it can theoretically it'll kill a grunt in 3 bullets. So like that's cute, right? It's like, oh, 1, 2,
but I
3,
can
the
I can
grunt's
just
dead.
hold my mouse. I can just hold my left mouse click and do the same thing,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, so
And then you're not penalized if you like kind of mess up and miss a little bit. Then that's that whole big like you have to wait for the next burst, and there's a little delay, and it just doesn't really do anything. I don't know why they gave it to this weapon. Everything else got something cool, but this weapon got shafted. I will say they fixed it after many years, so yeah, this is an A tier.
A tier, gotcha. Um, guess we can move on to the
I just
smelts.
ended it with that. My précis is that there might not be a whole lot compared to other weapons. There might not be anything really spectacular about the JK2, but I can't think of a situation where it's not going to be effective.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a
Absolutely.
major plus. And yeah, I'd keep it in mission control approves just for that.
Speaking of effective, M1000.
We know where it goes. Where it wrongfully or rightfully presides.
Honestly, even above the Hurricane,
You
maybe
know, they're kind of different flavors, but I'd say they're even.
that's
Honestly,
interchangeable.
they're oddly even. Either way
What
is beautiful.
do you think, John?
So the M1000, this is one of the 2 weapons in this game which I can declare I think the devs would have a hard time messing up. Like they would have to the Ghost Ship Games, the Danes, they would really have to go to the drawing board to find a way to make this weapon's just sheer overwhelming simplicity like not valid in the gameplay anymore.
It's just it hits like a truck, man. It's so accurate.
Exactly.
It only has 8 shots, but I
You can
mean
add to that.
those 8 shots are devastating.
They are
My
devastating.
favorite thing about this weapon, though, is how it essentially has 2 different modes, and and they're not modes that hit a button and switch to. There's a distinct I'm sorry for repeating myself. The weapon has essentially a distinct hip fire and then the charge shot. and both are amazing relative to the situation that you find yourself in.
Yeah,
Exactly.
charge shot for more accuracy, and then hip fire to just get rid of anything in your face.
As long as you have accuracy, like as long as you can get it, as long as you can line up headshots, you can be just as effective, by hip firing and saving a shot. Which is another thing. The M1000, I would say, this weapon has the highest amount of natural ammo efficiency in the game. I would say. Like I feel like this is one of the few weapons that I can sit that where I actually feel good about choosing damage over total ammo capacity.
Because like I would say one shot's a grunt to the face, pretty much, right?
Yeah, even without
Yes.
damage, which is kind of the crazy part. Even if you take ammo, one shot uncharged to the face is enough to kill them. And if you line them up and you get blow through, which this weapon also has for some crazy reason, super blow through, up to 4 targets per bullet. Yeah, just line them up with charge shots, and the base weapon can just start shredding. And that's what they say the scout can't do is kill a bunch of grunts or enemies, but like he actually can with all at the same time, stunning all of
What
them or getting fear.
what they
Hmm.
misunderstand is that you can create the circumstances, that
Via movement,
optimize the
yeah.
killing potential. Like M1000 plus IFG grenades. Like it's just one
Oh
of
yeah.
the find a good narrow tube, find a turn like a compact dirt into a funnel, drop an IFG grenade, and scout can clear an entire swarm.
And it's
Pretty
not
much
so
with an
hard to
M1000.
snipe all of a sudden when you have them kind of controlled with your grenade like that.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, retroactively speaking, I love the GK2, and the GK2 can also be great at funneling, but when I was talking about how there's not much spectacular, there's not what's spectacular about the M1000 is how it combines the direct damage with the penetrating funnel capability, penetration funnel.
Yeah,
This is also one of those weapons that doesn't need overclocks to shine.
absolutely.
And I think that's
'Cause you
what really
can-
puts the weapon into rock and stone tier, personally.
Yeah, but then that's the funny part too is
Before we
that
even
the
begin
overclocks are
considering the
so good.
overclocks. Yeah, before we even begin considering the overclocks, it's good. It's a killing
And then they
machine.
just cement it. I mean, super cooling for the super damage. Electrocuting focus, people think might be a little weird. It might be the best one for like on average or like just generalist. Because you get to electrocute whatever you charge shot, hold them in place, they take extra damage, it can kill them. It sets up high
It's
electricity
so
damage.
debilitating. It's so debilitating, and um, when the grunt swarms specifically spawn, I can the clearing potential, just the sheer ammo, the ammo efficiency to build debilitating effect ratio is just off the charts. There's not a
Yeah,
single grunt, that can, it counters grunt guards,
Mm.
really,
easily,
because that,
easily too.
yeah.
Especially with the armor breaking that you can get. Just punch right through their armor and hit their head or hit their little arms. Uh, leave them there, stunned and electrocuted. The electricity can be used to strengthen both the Zukov and the crossbow secondaries. Sets up a bit of a combo there, like a really devastating combo if you lean into that. Shotgun doesn't get a combo, but it's just it's just a strong shotgun.
Super cooling is basically the M1000's lead storm, right?
Yeah,
If you
you
really want,
stand in
if you really want to
place.
build it for dreadnoughts, for example.
Takes a long time to charge, but when you get it off, there's a lot of damage, a lot of weak point damage, and just raw damage get added. All the
Yeah.
other overclocks are good too, though. That clean, minimal clips, it adds some bullets to help that small little, magazine size.
Hmm. Then you can go all in on damage. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow. You know,
there's even a ammo upgrade or a mag upgrade on the weapon. Goes up to like 14 rounds. It's crazy. Any weakness this weapon has, you can kind of build it out like almost perfectly. That's what I really love about it.
yeah, and I mean, if you just hit weak
To me,
spots,
sorry,
yeah, if you're
sorry, go
just
ahead.
accurate, you hit weak spots on enemies like Septics and
Yeah,
Matera. It annihilates them.
that's all you really need to do. Just be accurate. I mean, the funny part is sometimes you don't even need to hit the weak spots. That 55 damage with armor breaking is enough to two-shot grunts to the body. So even if you're spamming lazily, hip fire at a crowd, you're still gonna kill them at like every two bullets.
Which is crazy. What
Yeah, it
was
doesn't
yours,
really
John?
get easier than that. Oh yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Oh yeah, so just I guess I was just gonna bounce off of that. This weapon hardly has an upgrade or an overclock that drags it down in any capacity. It just specializes it.
Hmm.
Yeah, even hipster for the
Specializes it even
hipsters.
specializes it even more. Yeah, hipster, one of the most memed on from what I understand at least, one of the most memed on overclocks in
Many
the
love it,
game's
many
history.
hate it. It honestly
Yeah.
lives up to its like namesake though, being a balanced overclock. Like it's not that insane, but it's really not bad at all. Even hover clock, you get to fly in midair. I mean, what other weapon is going to offer you something like that other than another one of Scout's weapons?
None, pretty much.
Well, there is that other one that we'll get to that I think
Hmm.
also belongs in this tier. Maybe.
For now, though, we'll leave it definitely top tier weapon. Drac 25. This one I haven't used it much. I am not sure, but I'm thinking around here.
Yeah. Uh, Either
Over.
there or one
Hmm.
tier lower.
Really? Wow.
I don't like it out of the box very much. This is one weapon I feel like when you first get it, without any overclocks, it kind of just doesn't feel like it does anything that I can't get from the other two.
It
It
just
doesn't
feels
have
like
any stun.
a much weaker GK2, I guess. Um,
Yeah, it doesn't have the weak point bonus on it. I mean, it also shoots slow projectiles, which you're probably gonna miss some weak spot hits because of that. And just miss in general, which is, people don't realize it's lowering your damage output every second that you miss.
don't you think it overheats pretty fast, at least base?
It kind of
Don't
does.
get me started. Don't get me started with overheating on this weapon.
I hate, that's the weird thing. That's supposed to be the draw of the weapon is that you don't have to reload. You can just like keep your heat on tabs. But if you want to grab things to help the heat, you're cutting into the weapon's power quite a bit. I mean, tier one cooling is 25% less heat per shot. Then you can't get max rate of fire. And then it's not killing that much faster than the GK2 or the M1000. So where's the close range power coming from? If not that extra fire rate, also stops you from getting velocity. Which, if you want to turn this weapon into a sort of long range weapon, that's what you need. Bit of a weird thing to do. The other cooling is cooling
A
speed
sort
plus
of long range
50%.
weapon.
Kind of doesn't really help that much when you sort of want that shot spread accuracy in tier 3. You could go for cooling over accuracy, but then you're going to miss more shots at ranged and it'll be close range, but is it really doing anything that the other weapons can't do? Like maybe a little bit.
See, the projectiles do need to be led, and I think they drop as well. And mm, yeah, that's a rough one to contend with. I know there is a particular play style with the drag that I think John told me about. The one that accentuates fire or something.
Right, conductive thermals.
Yeah. Um, what do you think about that, John?
So overall, if I had to precede the Drac, it would be I think it has a couple of respectable niches, but other than that, um, it's competitive, especially like when you're trying to compete with the M1000, for example. It's just hard. Um, in general, like you both said earlier, like I just feel like there's not a whole lot that I can accomplish with this weapon that I can't, with the GK2 or with the M1000.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I'd say to me the Drac feels like a less forgiving JK2 in both ammo efficiency and longer range accuracy, but with superior funneling abilities. Which again I think is respectable because like the Drac also pairs quite well. I mean, obviously everything, all the classes like um all the classes bode well like with Scouts IFG grenades, but if you funnel enemies like through a narrow choke point or through a compacted dirt, for example, with an IFG, the Drac does have a couple of builds like where you can really accentuate its AOE and perhaps you know compared to the GK2, really disperse your damage throughout like the incoming enemies. Good
Yeah.
crowd control. But I can also do that with the M1000 and probably do it even better.
Yeah, but the only real downside being is that that would have to reload after a few shots, which there are ways to increase those 8 shots. So, not the worst
There are.
downside, really, having to reload.
And I feel like I have to build my Drax so that it's not overheating.
Yeah, I mean, the
By the
thing with
time by the
that.
time after I fire like a few devastating M1000 shots, and if I line up a few good M1000 shots and devastate and debilitate like some enemies in a choke point, then by the time I'm reloaded, the Drac probably overheated twice, and then its effects are kind of lingering on the closest enemies, not the ones probably at the back of the file, which the M1000 has no limits to reaching.
Yeah.
But really bouncing off of, I think we want to talk about conductive thermals. Conductive thermals, I would say, is one of the most unique overclocks in the entire game. And it's also one of the most potent team support overclocks. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? I feel like if you, I feel like there are there are situations and there are niches like where you can go in with a Drac with conductive thermals. Like if you know that like your driller is going to be running cryo, or if you know that your gunner is going to be bringing a lot of fire, if you coordinate these things beforehand, then conductive thermals can be the perfect thing to take down bulk detonators with, or oppressors. Any priority target, you can just have Scout apply like the conductive thermals debuff, and freeze targets that shouldn't normally be frozen, be
Hmm.
freezable,
Yeah.
But that only
like an
works
oppressor.
with that only works at perfect synergy.
Yeah, that's
Exactly,
very
and
true.
it doesn't the penalty. Let me get the figure just so I'm not speaking out of my the -3 damage penalty. I mean, I don't think it's not that the Drac is unusable, like with that damage penalty, but now it's even less ammo efficient than the GK2.
Yeah, quickly compromises it.
Hmm.
So you're really relying on that team synergy, or at least your own build synergy. It'll work with fire, cryo, and electric, so you can get those things, and it's gonna buff the damage over time as well
We've
as
killed a bulk detonator, I think, in
temperature.
3 seconds. When the
Yeah.
stars aligned, we've killed a bulk detonator with 3 seconds with that buff applied. And that that's really high on the spectacular scale, but um with the how often does that happen though that justifies going in with you know what, as a matter of fact, I guess I could say it probably is. I'd say it's generally my favorite weapon to bring to eliminations with Scout, just so I can get
And a
that.
good driller, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the mission, like where I know. I mean, I don't play eliminations that often, but that's one of the only missions like where um we have a boss type enemy that tends to be vulnerable to the debuffs that we can apply to it, unlike the caretaker industrial sabotage.
So I guess you could say Drac with synergy and conductive thermals. It could possibly be up here, but generally speaking, it's more like here.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's just
because
I just think it's too circumstantial.
it comes from those overclocks, really. I mean, the only other things you get on this weapon without overclocks is the tier 4 for splash damage, armor breaking, which is okay. The other weapons can break armor too. Or you can get electricity. That's maybe the most unique thing is you can get electricity without overclocks. There's the manual heat dump and the feedback loop on the final tier. Those are pretty cool. They kind of help the weapon out a bit. The
So
other overclocks
usable,
are good. Yeah, very usable, definitely. Especially
but
with overclock.
when compared to GK2 and 1000, it falls short. Except for
There is one
specific.
overclock that there's a time and a place, but I'm going to have to go off on it one day when we do the overclock tier list.
I
Time and
know
a
what it
place
is.
though.
Oh, that one. I
Yeah,
know what you're talking about.
time and a place.
I won't even mention it now, but I do want to mention two other ones that I think are pretty good on this weapon. You know, if you really want to salvage it or make it feel very good, thermal exhaust feedback adds fire damage and heat as you're over 50% heat on the weapon. So it kind of turns the weakness into a strength. That damage you get is pretty strong, and heating them up and setting them on fire also will kill them faster, as you know. Finish them off without even needing to keep shooting them sometimes. So save a bit of ammo. And the other one I think is pretty good in general, impact deflection, which bounces bullets. By combining that and the plasma splash upgrade, you can just kind of just bounce bullets everywhere, splashing over and over again, hitting enemies with 2 explosions or 3, plus the actual hit for a very modest downside of slower fire rate. Aside from that, the cleans are decent, and Overtune Particle Accelerator is pretty good.
It's
A
my
lot of
go-to. I like
damage.
if I do if I'm in the mood to run the Drac and I bring it to a mining mission, overtuned is usually a good funneling overclock. Solid.
Yeah, kind of like lead spray. It's got really bad accuracy, but very high damage. Good for, I guess, what the weapon's intended for. Maybe a little too punishing though, because yeah, without a crossbow, I don't know how you're gonna be sniping.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I would say this is a good spot for it. Just to quickly move on to the secondary weapons of the scout. We got the jury rig boomstick. Now this one, I'm guessing somewhere in mission control approved. Um,
To be honest, this one to me is borderline rock and stone.
Yeah,
Borderline.
you know, how would we decide that honestly?
the exact
I'm trying to
placement
be
is tough.
disciplined. I'm trying to be disciplined and to maintain a semblance of relativity with every other weapon in the game.
You know what? Honestly, I would probably put it in Rock and Stone tier because it got buffed recently, and pretty much all of its weaknesses have been ironed out.
This is definitely another weapon where, as a matter of fact, I can't believe I didn't. Maybe I thought of it as a secondary for a bit too long, but it's another weapon where its simplicity is just overwhelming relative to its effects.
Yeah, just double barrel shotgun, destroy
Hmm.
things up close.
You do need to reload after every shot. I mean,
Yeah, after every 2 shots. But, you know, you get that double tap, double trigger, so you can shoot twice really quick. I think that really kinda solves when you get trapped,
it's true.
and then weapon switching is so fast, you can switch back to a primary, protect yourself. You can also grapple away because Scout has a grapple, so he has ways to protect himself. There's even the fear upgrade, not even an overclock, just an upgrade that can scare enemies away and help you stay in a closed position without having to run away. You're kind of gambling on frightening the enemies, but hey, it's better than nothing.
The
I
boomstick
guess.
just feels like it's spiritual. It feels like the M1000, but in the form of a shotgun. Like its penetrating power is
Exactly.
just that insane, especially with IFG grenades.
Super blow through for penetrations.
Which is another thing too, because I feel like now I based on what I've commented about the distinctions between. So let me get to the point. I feel like scout secondaries kind of feel like a second primary, at least in my opinion, because I feel like when I'm playing scout, I'm constantly oscillating between my primary and my secondary,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's valid.
and I feel like I can. There are situations where, maybe with the exception of the crossbow, but I feel like when I'm alternating between my M1000 or my GK2 and the boomstick, I feel like I'm just complementing. Yeah, I feel like I pop out that boomstick and whatever damage, like, by the time my M1000's out of a clip, like, I have like two more super penetrating shots coming, possibly even with a fire effect.
Oh yeah, that fire is just so good.
But
Yeah.
John, I was thinking the reason why you're putting it so high, is because of the boomstick mobility,
Special powder.
the one that makes
Yes.
you go
Yeah.
super far and high.
Special powder, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
boomstick with special powder is like scout mobility well, I guess it's not literally personification, but
Pretty much,
it's scout
honestly.
it's like yeah, it's scout mobility. I'll use this word out of context. It's scout mobility personified as a weapon. Like the jump, and the jump, it's not like like a leapfrog that helps you get up to a platform. It freaking it catapults you across the map potentially. It's such a spectacular jump, and there's hardly, even on hazard max, like there's hardly an enemy that can track you. There's not a Mactera shot like that can lead you with that jump.
I specifically remember you saved a deep scan because of this mobility. I don't know if
Yeah.
you remember that,
Yes.
but yeah, it's real clutch. Um,
It's great. Speedrunners love it. And yeah, you can combine it with the grapple hook and that hover clock, right? On the M1000. Kind of just hover in the air, shoot yourself higher with the double barrel grapple into a wall. I mean, you can go kind of crazy with the movement utilizing
It
this.
has
All the
jumbo
other
shells,
overclocks are good
which
too.
is kind of like its version of elephant rounds, arguably.
Jumbo shells, I have that one, yes. Super
Yeah,
Now,
so
strong.
jumbo
much
shells, like,
damage.
I feel like jumbo shells is over specializing the weapon, but it's damn good at that specialization. And Scout's
Oh yeah,
already, good against Scout is already oriented towards assassinations and weak spots with his primaries, so he just accentuated it even more.
very good on dreadnoughts.
Wow. Any
Double
others
barrel's
stand out?
pretty good too.
Any others
Yeah,
stand out?
honestly, they're actually all good. Double barrel used to be terrible because it didn't even shoot both rounds at once. It would shoot them like back to back and it would kick twice. Now it shoots them both at once and it just doubles the pellets. And it's like, one shot, two bullets, but you deal so much damage in that one shot. It's another great thing for bosses.
Mm, yeah, honestly, well, for me, it's more down here, but since you guys have more experience with it, I don't mind leaving it up here. Um, yes, and it's pretty sick. It's a double barrel stubby. Yeah, bolt sharp. It go for me. For me, it goes here. Yes, for me.
Why is that? I would love to hear it.
Reason. Well, number one, it's a crossbow. It's very satisfying to use when you do kill an enemy with it. It feels very rewarding. Number two, pheromones. I think these are even better to spam pheromones than the pheromone grenade, honestly. Um,
Yeah,
It's no comparison really, because like you can target, you can anchor, tanky enemies specifically with the bolt shark.
Absolutely. Oppressors, Praetorians, even bulks. Um, exactly. I think that's so strong. Pheromones in general is a very strong effect, and I mean it's just incredibly satisfying to use for me. Although in terms of strength, it might not rival the boomstick, but it has great range too.
very true.
I like to think of the bolt shark as kind of like Scout's utility belt in a
Yeah,
weapon.
Yeah.
that's what it really does, better. Utility and that 100 and what is it, like 105 damage and then some radial damage that goes through armor, but like doesn't really hit multiple enemies. Pretty good at killing medium-sized like threats, high-value targets quickly,
Hmm.
even out of the box, extra damage for that kind of stuff.
Now
And
the
yeah, the pheromones are
electricity
so good.
and the fire to me, they aren't that great. Where I'm the reason why I have it here is because of pheromones. If it didn't have pheromones, I'd have it down around here. Yeah.
Honestly, pheromones are that good that it does elevate it quite high. I'd probably still put it one tier below, just because I also feel that without firebolts and cryobolts, it loses out on a lot of utility.
What do you think, John? I'm here. Justin
So I think it's
Tier.
interesting about the bull shark. I feel like this. Now, obviously, it's a crossbow. It has great, piercing damage and weak spot damage, like in and of itself. But I feel like compared to every other weapon, this is the one that depends the most on how you build it to really optimize it for what you want to accomplish specifically.
That is true.
And in
Um,
that regard, so I mean, um, pheromone grenades are useful in virtually every situation, as can the what do you know what the other upgrade is called, Justin? It's the one that turns the enemies into like bombs. Do you know what that's called specifically?
Chemical explosion.
Yeah, chemical explosion. Like yeah, like there are situations where all those are applicable, but I feel like yeah, compared to all the other weapons, like I want to know what the mission is. I want to have an idea of what to expect, and then I can build the bolt truck to optimize for it. Like I know if it's going to be a Mactera, like if we're doing a deep dive and I'm expecting a Mactera plague, I can run bodkin bolts and then still have pheromone as the secondary,
Yeah,
so
that's
that
the,
I
that's the chain
can,
hit,
can bring
right?
it day. Yeah, maybe that's just my convoluted way of saying that like now I could accept it being a spiritual rock and stone, like by virtue of it being scout's weapon utility belt, but I guess practically speaking it's like I'm not going to say it has peak versatility, outright, like out of the bag or by default like the M1000 would.
okay. I can
But again,
agree
I
with
mean,
that.
I can definitely respect a spiritual rock and stone. For me, it's mission control approves minimum because it's basically like again, as far as I'm concerned, it's the ultimate weapon for specialization. You can bring fire, arrows for the glacial strata specifically. You can bring freezing, for other biomes or just freeze even in the glacial strata. You can just accentuate the environmental freezing. It's
Oh
just a
yeah.
weapon it's a weapon where you can build it to just be so thoroughly in tune with the circumstances they're going
Yeah,
into.
it can mostly do whatever you want it to do. I think just the fact that it relies a bit on overclocks to get some of that
Yeah,
like extra utility. That's why I wouldn't put it at the top, maybe. Because you
and
have
then
to
its
work for those
specialization is
things.
very high. Then once you build it, it
Yeah.
tends to be highly specialized, and it's not that it's again like if I run Bakken bolts, it's not that I can't use it against standard enemies, but I'm primarily doing that to take out Macteras or acid spitters.
Mm.
Like
Yeah, the high
example cover.
value
Yeah,
counter
Yeah,
targets.
it is very specialized. I will agree.
yeah,
For me, it's peak satisfaction though. It's like sniping an enemy with something that drops. You just feel
Yeah.
really,
absolutely.
It feels really good.
yeah, it does.
It's also naturally ammo efficient, no doubt,
Yeah,
to a fair degree.
definitely. But since it is very specialized, I do understand the placement.
Yeah. I mean,
Actually, as a
and
matter of
that
fact, speaking of ammo efficiency, this is, as far as I know, this is the only like physical weapon where it has retrievable shots if you miss.
it's true.
Yeah, I know
That's
Driller
true.
can
It
pick up
is
his impact
impact
axes if he
axes.
misses, but as far as I know, like when it comes to standard weapons, this is the only one that has like true um error correction if you miss a shot, as long as it's not a specialized arrow.
Yeah, that does work a lot in its favor. Um, More ammo efficiency and whatnot.
And that still works with bodkin bolts, as far as I know.
What do
Yeah. And you
bodkin
can't
bolts do?
understate. Oh, that's like a
I don't
chain
think
hit.
I've used
It's like
Trifork
three
Volley.
times.
I don't think I've used Trifork Volley before. Have you,
It's
Justin?
actually good. It's kind of like a shotgun in a way because it shoots 3 arrows at once, but that's how you unlock like heavy damage for it, like heavy burst damage. It can compete with the shotgun kind of like that sort of, but it'll be very limited. And then you have to find that overclock too. Out of
Hmm.
the box, it's not going to have the best killing power. It is more utility, like those pheromones. It just leaves you sometimes without a way to kill enemies.
That
Hmm.
is
Although I should mention that chemical explosion, that's the only way to like kind of get a damaging regular explosion out of a scout because he doesn't can't do that otherwise.
Hmm. Isn't there also a taser bolt, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh
yes,
yeah,
there
that can
is.
set up an electric fence, stop enemies. If you shoot those
Right.
tasers into one
Yeah.
enemy over and over, it deals a lot of damage and it slows them down a fuck ton. Plus with electric effects, you can get quite a bit of damage out. Like conductive thermals. Plus that super strong. So it's
Does it
definitely got
block
a lot of
throwables again?
potential.
I forgot.
Oh, it's like a chain hit. It basically will hit one enemy and then it will automatically seek out two more, I think.
Oh. Yeah, good, great for Mectera. I see.
Yeah, snipe the Mactera, just get the stupid grunts. It
Acid
helps it kill
spitters, web
crowds.
spitters.
Yeah,
The
a
bolt
lot
strike
of
is
them are
probably the
insane.
way to go if it's the depressing new warning of duck and cover.
Oh yeah, that one. I hate that.
This can even get fear on it to kind of help get rid of those Mactera and other pesky things. It's a bit of a weird pick, but if you don't want to use the magnetic shafts or the extra long special bolts, then fear is pretty decent actually.
I see. Well, yeah.
Pheromones is just so powerful that it's hard for me to play.
Mhm.
Like I actually do like the exploding chemical rounds, but chemical I do like chemical explosion, but pheromones can be so game breaking sometimes. It's hard not to pick it. So
Yeah,
I
pheromones
guess
plus other
that's an issue
things.
that I have.
That's why the weapon can get that high. Quite absurd.
If it didn't have pheromones, yeah, I might have put it on the bottom of mission control. But yeah, it does. So yeah, but that's the bolt shark. I agree with the placement. Now that I think about it, we can move on to Zukov's, which is his last secondary weapon. Now this I have not used much. I'm gonna need you guys' help.
Thankfully, I've used it a lot. It's pretty great, honestly. Undervalued for sure. There's an argument to be made that it does need overclocks to start feeling strong, kind of like the Subata, but even out of the box, it's pretty good. And its clean overclock is good too because it has a faster reload, faster rate of fire. That's already what the weapon does so well. And you can strengthen that on the weapon too. It
You know,
can
it
be
can
pretty
have
accurate.
up to like 50 shots. Last time I used it, and that's pretty significant.
Yeah, let's see, 60 clip size, up to 90 even.
Wow, that's great.
The Zoo Cub doesn't have many overclocks compared to some other weapons, right? Isn't it only
It
like
might have
five?
some of the least, yeah, it's 5. And 3
Yeah.
of them are unstable, but they're all pretty cool and pretty good. I mean, the basic
I'm an embedded
overview
detonators
is just
guy.
it's just that damage, machine pistol. It's going to be more range than the shotgun. It's less committal because it's not 2 shots. It's you get to spray a bunch of things. You can kill a bunch of little swarmers with it. Quickly take care of a quick grunt, quick threat anywhere. Has electric damage.
Built in.
Extra damage to electric. That's the tier 5. 33% extra damage versus electric. Then you can also get 45% weak point bonus. And then there's 2 damage bonuses on the thing, bringing it from 12 to 14. Yeah. It shreds enemies really surprisingly fast, especially if you electrocute them first and then just starts hitting their weak point and they're dead in like less than a second. Quickly reloads. You can just repeat that over and over. And then at any time, it's flexible because you can start hitting grunts or swarmers or even Mactera. And that's all without overclocks. And quickly to briefly go over the overclocks, which are all good. Embedded detonators puts explosives in the enemy that explode when you reload. Does incredible damage on reload. Cryo minelets can freeze enemies. This weapon has blow through, right? Yeah, there's a blow through. So just like with the other minelets, you can blow the bullet through the enemy, hit them, and then that same bullet turns into a mine at their feet and then traps them with cryo. Then they take extra, once they're frozen, they take all that extra damage, like 3 times damage from all bullets.
Mm.
And that's just off the pistol alone. Then you can obviously combine that with the really powerful primaries. Then there's gas recycling, really weird. That's like for getting someone who's already frozen. Just a lot of damage, but no weak point damage whatsoever. You actually get no weak point, even if an enemy has a really super weak point. Completely disables it. So it's Not so great.
I will say though, how about the placement here? Do you think it deserves mission control?
As much as I do love the weapon, and I really do, I'd probably put it in effective because it is very effective, and with the right overclocks, it's very good. It's just the cryo bolts can freeze an enemy out of the sky, or it can shoot multiple bolts and freeze a whole area instead of relying on little bullets that are into the ground.
Yeah, and the cryo bolts in the for the bolt shark like only have a slight damage penalty. Like so you can still like just shoot you can still practically use them like regular bolts in that situation. Where with
Yeah,
cryo mindlets, you're probably sacrificing actually shooting the target.
the strongest, most unique one is probably embedded detonators because you can
That
detonate the
is
enemy
Assassin
as fast
Scout
as
Supreme.
possible.
That
Yeah,
run Super Auto GK2 and embedded detonator Zukovs with like damage maxed out, and you like no oppressor will last more than 3 seconds against you.
yeah, just shred anything. You'll run out of ammo quickly, but it serves its purpose. If you kind of make up for it with your other tools and
If
your
I think
team.
about it, the Zukovs are kind of like I actually think the Zukovs are quite similar to the Bolt Shark, except it's very offensive. Not to,
Yeah,
like
it's more about
I think
killing.
I think it's like killing rather than utility.
Yeah, absolutely. Even its best utility barely sacrifices the killing. It's like -1 damage to get those cryo minelets that can freeze things. So not a very big hit at all. It's got a good clean. The balance isn't that great. It increases the mag capacity, but it lowers the rate of.
Yeah, so I agree with that placement. The Zukovs they are definitely my least utilized scout secondary, but the times that I do feel like using them, it usually shines
Mm.
for assassin. I'm just so preferential to insane and over the top boomstick mobility or utility, but I respect the Zukovs.
I definitely have to use them more. I guess we'll leave them here for now. If there are no objections.
Nope,
Gotcha.
not
Okay.
for me.
With that being said, we can move into engineer and his primaries. The Warthog. For me, this is like I'd put this right here. What do you guys
Yeah,
say?
for me, this is definitely upper mission control approves.
I mean, it's a nice little shotgun. It's a great beginner tool. It it's pretty powerful. I mean, it doesn't fire too slow. I just think it's solid in terms of damage, and so my placement was around here for the Warthog.
Mm, you know, I'd probably agree.
Yeah, solid beginner shotgun. Got decent damage. Some pretty good ammo economy, especially that can be built out. And
Yeah.
it has some pretty powerful overclocks, pump action, magnetic pellet alignment,
I
among
think it's similar to the
others.
GK2 on its own in that I have trouble imagining situations where it's not at least, relevant or valid,
Hmm. Yeah.
with the exception of ranged combat. But you could still build it. You just mentioned magnetic pellet alignment, which practically turns it into a sniper rifle. Believe it
Yeah.
or not. Yeah.
And the
So
choke too. Even without an overclock, the choke just has the same exact effect.
I gotta go off though. My favorite thing about the Warthog is its synergy with the turrets, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yes, yes. I forgot.
The way it whips those turrets with turret whip.
That turret whip. Very, very worthy tier 5. It's so much better than the other tier 5 that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I love turret whip too. Be a game changer.
It's the
Especially.
ultimate upgrade because essentially uh it's one of the most indirect ammo savers in the whole game because like there are targets that your turrets can be engaging that might not be the best spent shot with like a shorter, like if you're running pump action and you can't engage like targets that are further away but your turrets can engage, then you can just shoot your turrets and then compensate, make that shot worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a pretty powerful shot, is it not? Yeah.
Yeah, quite
It is.
strong, good radius. I think it stuns and causes fear too, so it just knocks it out of the park as far as the effectiveness. And then the efficiency. I mean, it costs 5 of your turret bullets to use it and 1 shell. So it's really not that costly. You get much more value than you put into it.
Mm.
Incredibly good. And that's again, without overclocks. Both cleans are strong. One of them's just more ammo and better reload, and that's what the weapon kind of wants and needs anyway. You've got already a couple magazine capacity upgrades on it.
I think
Mini
of all the
shells is terrible.
classes. My bad.
Gotta get that out there. It's as bad as micro flechettes. It's just it makes it weaker, but gives you more ammo. But it becomes so weak that you can barely secure that one shot kill that makes the weapon so good. That's
Mm.
kind of how it shines. If you get those one shot kills, you have like 90 shells. That's a 90 kills. But if you kind of fuck up your accuracy, then it's like a two shot. That's already half the amount of kills if you're taking 2 bullets each time.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, generally kills the grunt to the face in one tap, generally. Um,
There is one upgrade at the end. Well, that's the thing because like the only other option from Turret Whip is minor adjustments, right? That makes it fully auto,
Yeah,
supposedly.
full
That's
auto
one of
with
those
a turn
upgrades.
5.
From what I understand, that's one of those upgrades where it just isn't compatible with certain overclocks, right? Like pump action.
Yeah, it'll
So
barely help pump
naturally,
action. Pump action's already so slow, but pump action is so strong, and it gets blow through as well. Hitting all those enemies can kill with body shots instead of having to aim for the head all the time, so it's a little more lenient. Breaks through armor very well. Magnetic pellet, obviously the sniper. Cycle
oh,
overload. I don't know if you've tried that, Chaval, but that shoots like really quick, even without full auto. Like almost as fast as you can tap it, and that just again assassinates things with the shotgun.
what I understand, the Warthog has some of the most I think it has some of the most potent armor breaking in the game as well. Naturally.
Yeah, it's pretty strong, and it can go up to plus 500%.
yeah, that's pretty sick.
Definitely no slouch.
Every time I play NG, almost every time I'm using the Warthog. Almost every time.
Yeah, it's the kind
With
of
the
weapon I
with the
really
right build,
misjudged.
I think with the right build, it can give engineer. Because if I really think about it, I think a lot of other NG's weapons assume that, or maybe his class is oriented to having lead on enemies, to cause like massive damage for the rest of the team, in general. But with the Warthog with the right build, I feel like NG can just have like a very unusually potent reaction time gameplay up close.
Yeah,
Mm,
taking those
yeah,
extra pellets on that upgrade kind of just helps your accuracy and your killing power both at the same time.
yeah. Generally high fast time to kill on chaff enemies, even medium size, and special like septics and whatnot. Yeah,
And
solid
you can
weapon.
strengthen it in that way. Yeah, very solid. Just I would say it's not OP, definitely, because it just never gets too crazy. It's always limited by range and ammo, at least somewhat,
Mhm.
or by fire rate if you try to break out of those, barriers.
But yeah, still solid, man. I think that's the placement. Any objections?
Oh yeah, no, that's the perfect placement. It's like the perfect engineer primary. His primaries are kind of like to do most of the grunt work, whereas as we know, his secondaries are very powerful to like really take care of, high threats. This is like the workhorse.
Indeed. Moving on then. Stubby. I want to
I've
put the
fallen out of this
stubby.
weapon.
Yeah, I'll put it right here. What do you think?
More or less agree. Maybe even slightly lower, but honestly, it is pretty good. I got to give it to it. It does. It always works when I pick it up, but I feel
No.
like it does lack a bit.
I think the stubby is one of the most unique primary weapons because I feel like it can depending on how you build it. I think it oscillates between either instant gratification or equipment synergy with overclocks. Like with what's the one? Like with microconductor add-on.
That's the reason I have it here. Without that, I would have put in B.
Yeah, without the overclocks, it does not feel as good. Also,
Mm-mm.
turret discharge for like a very similar but like more immediate effect of like an electric blast.
Yeah, that
Again,
one
with
too.
stun and fear, pretty good. And both of them rely on turrets, which like it loops back to his other equipment. Feels really good. My only complaint really is that you kind of have to get the overclocks for this weapon to start feeling very fun. Because out of the box, it's either spraying enemies down really quick, which isn't that much different from the shotgun, or it's kind of milking its electricity, trying to spread a lot of electricity,
Mhm.
slow things down, kill them by electrocuting them over time, save a lot of ammo. And
What I
it
think is
does pretty well
cooler
there.
with microconductor is when you use it on plats, it really slows them down when you use it on the
Oh
platinum.
yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't there for forever. That was actually kind of recent.
Oh, that's
Used to
the
be
reason
so
I
much
have.
worse.
Yeah, it used to exclusively be an electric. In the past, you used to be able to make an electric fence with like Gemini system specifically. So
Mm.
if you went like heavy turret, then you'd be, it was an overclock paradox.
Yeah, it
That's
wouldn't help you.
true.
You'd have to connect it between the two turrets. But now you can do a lot more with it, and it still retains its previous function. Honestly, yeah, I'd say either this tier or the tier below for me. I do often use it with EM Refire, which is the highest rate of fire. That just sprays the enemies down so well.
I
I
like
dropped it.
EM refire. I just tend to be preferential to the shot, like to a pump action shotgun for similar or better results.
Yeah, because that can stun. Whereas this doesn't stun, it's more about slowing them with the electricity, trying
It's
to roll it.
debilitating, yeah.
Yeah, keep them locked in place while you continue to spray them down. I will say, even though this does take care of swarmers better because you can shoot bullets at them individually instead of wasting shotgun rounds trying to kill them inefficiently, it
And
does
then
it does
unlike
usually
the
feel a little
smart
weaker.
rifle, unlike the smart rifle, like you can like you dictate the shots.
Yeah, that's
So
true. You get
I
to
guess
manually aim it.
there's a bit more gratification reaction time at the
Oh,
expense
yeah.
of some ammo, maybe.
I should also say they added a new overclock, and it is a pretty decent one. Hyper alloy that makes it really accurate, but adds a lot of recoil. If you can kind of get the skill to like tame the recoil and keep it mostly straight, the bullets will fly very straight, kind of like Counter Strike. So you could
I,
sort of really make this weapon kind of high skill and kind of push out of its weak comfort zone.
Yeah, I just really like microconductor on this one. What do you think,
Mentally,
John?
it's just a weapon where Um, I feel like, and again, it's only my preference, but when I run Stubby, I'm usually running it for its equipment utility. Like
Okay.
mentally, I don't feel so good like when I'm optimizing it for damage personally.
So you would
But I
drop the
agree.
damage.
I respect the overclocks. Like I tried a hyperalloy assembly once, and its weak spot damage is nothing to sleep on.
Mm. Would you drop the damage or I'm not the damage, sorry, the placement.
I think that placement is respectable.
It kind of is, as long as it's, I guess, towards the back, I think, because I do think it's
Yeah,
less powerful than the shotgun, but it really isn't that bad. It's
And
more
its
than
utility,
effective.
its equipment utility is just so good, like for recovery missions or defensive situations or
I'll go with
escorts.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's
Well,
so many like just we have probably just as many or even exponentially more possible because of the procedural generation and the enemy RNG. The game offers us like exponentially more situations as we have permutations for the weapons. So it's always in the back of my mind, and I'd apply that to the stubby.
hmm yeah, it's a solid weapon. Interesting builds and a lot of utility, but not the most direct damage or best ammo economy. I think that's how
It would be exponentially more situations because there are like there must be trillions of combinations for environment.
at least in terms of microconductor.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, strong utility. But if we're gonna move on, we got the smart rifle, and this one, not much experience.
It's
Although I have used it
surprisingly good.
once, it's interesting,
Yeah.
and I don't know where to place it.
You know, I'd probably place it right there as well in that same tier. I think I might even put it ahead of the stubby slightly because also with overclocks, it can be pretty absurd.
In terms of the lock-on capability.
The sheer versatility, honestly, it does lock on very well. It can deal very good damage and like land every shot perfectly where you want it to, as long as you align yourself correctly and try to twist the aiming line so that it hits a weak point or at least doesn't hit a wall. It can do a lot of damage. It can explode. It has explosive chemical rounds as an overclock that destroys waves of enemies very well. It
that's my
also
build
gets
for the
super
lock.
blow through. Yeah, that's probably the best one for crowds. Seeker rounds can go through enemies, can go through unbreakable armor. The two clean, I'll say the clean overclocks aren't that strong. One of them is just armor breaking as an overclock,
Hmm.
and then the other one is more locks and more magazine eraser, and it's pretty decent. Just nothing to write home about. It's really those other ones like Executioner for the crazy fast lock on and the crazy weak point damage
I
for
strongly
these
dislike armor
explosions.
breaking on the lock, to be honest, because I feel like I'm always trying to force hits on the weak spots.
Yeah, you don't really need to break the armor. The only time I really use it is like a dreadnought where you have to break armor, like on the twins. Smart trigger, I don't really use that. I can't comment on it, sadly. Don't know if it's good.
I know this counters jellyfish really well, which is
Oh
like
yeah,
Nino sites, yes.
those
I like
nasty.
to bring the lock to open-ended missions like egg hunts, especially if it's like 8 eggs, and I have typically I know that the environment has a high chance of being spacious, and maybe it has like a dome structure. I like to combine it with like a Fat Boy PGL, and it's like a good cleanup device after like the initial blast on like a spawning wave in a situation
Yeah,
like that.
because it works a lot like a turret would. It just automatically sends bullets. All the only thing you have to do is lock on and make sure they're all delivered, but it's not really that hard actually.
Which
And it
does
won't really waste.
actually want to place it a bit higher.
You know, I think I would place it above the stubby, definitely. And would I place it above the other shotgun? I don't know.
We'll
I
leave it there.
personally can't put it above the Warthog, but that's probably my taste.
You know, I might put it above the bulldog. I don't know if they're really applicable. They're on the same line, but
Maybe even
it
I
just
think
above.
it's
it
hard
does
to
kill
compare.
so well.
I
It
think
is
it's hard to
hard to
compare
compare, yeah.
primaries with gunners secondaries.
It's definitely my second favorite on engineer over the stubby. I used to like the stubby a lot more, but you can actually electrocute with this thing just by picking a tier 5 and then getting over 3 locks, like will electrocute And then you can milk electrocutions by getting 3 locks, but only firing the first bullet, then canceling it with a pickaxe swing. Just keep electrocuting enemies over and over, or just kill them. It even has fear, which is good for making enemies run and just saving yourself time and kind of just saving yourself in general.
Mm.
I
I
respect
do
these
think,
arguments. I just had to be sorry, Jamal.
yeah, I do think it can also melt enemies if you manage to get a lot of locks on and also force it on a weak spot. But that does take some skill, some getting used to.
Yeah, you do have to
I
get used
I
to
think it can
that.
have surprisingly effective penetration as well, but I believe it's also skill forcing up the ideal firing arcs to line up enemies. Which, for my taste, is something I'd rather just have, a pump action warthog for more often than not. But I can't say that it doesn't work.
Yeah, it can feel a little hard maybe to protect yourself with this weapon if you don't have either execution or overclock or explosive chemical, because then you don't have a quick way to protect yourself from a lot of targets.
Mm.
So you kind of have to sit back more without those two things.
I
But
think that's the kind
honestly,
of
it
reason
does do well.
it should be below the GK2.
I feel like my peak NG
Yeah.
gameplay is when I have I have some kind of open-ended cave or defensive position that's been contrivedly fortified with platforms and a resupply pod, and I have like an open range to shoot. And I think the that's spiritually what the lock is, having lead and range on enemies,
I see. Yes.
and
I'll
not a
leave it
shot
there.
wasted essentially.
I'll
Yeah,
leave
I
it
think
there.
that's definitely where it belongs. With a
I
lot
mean,
of
I could
skill and the right stuff, you can make it do a lot of crazy stuff, but it takes some work.
I could say in the same situation that I sometimes wish I would have brought, turret whip for that defensive position, but I think that's just the nature of the game here. I'm always going to feel like I'm missing out on something else another weapon has to offer.
Now,
So I can't hold it against it.
yes, pretty solid when you understand the mechanics, but moving on. And this is probably my favorite weapon in DRG, and I just have to put it there. The PGL grenade launcher. I it's just great.
It is pretty purpose built for what it's supposed to do. And it does get a bit of versatility with a couple of obvious powerful overclocks.
Yes.
Typically, for me, I've always rated it kind of low because I feel like it relies on those overclocks to really feel like it's competing with the other two secondaries as far as what it can do and how much damage potential
You're
kills it can
right.
get.
You're
I guess
right.
especially on Has 5 when all the enemies are just stat maxed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can cut to the chase. It's got Fat Boy and it's got Hyper Propellant,
Yeah.
which are massively powerful at what they try to do, either a huge nuke or a lot of direct damage to just one target. And
Hmm.
outside of those two, the weapon doesn't really change very much at all. There's multiple upgrades that are either damage or ammo or like more radius, and you can even get fire going on, which is good. Pops enemies, finishes them off. You don't always need to kill them with the first blast. And it's got stun if you want it. It has fear by default. I don't like the tier the final tier upgrades. I only ever take spiky grenade.
Now, John, what do you think about the placement?
Um, spiritually, I can accept it. Although I guess I would have to acknowledge that it is like most of my opinion of this weapon is coming from how over the top, the overclocks I like for it are,
Yeah.
and how specialized they are.
And it's satisfying, yeah.
I mean, I to be honest, like I don't have many gameplay hours with this weapon, running it with standard ammunition. So I guess that means I have a serious bias. But I do know that even with a overclock like clean sweep and with fire, it is a very respectable uh fast reaction AoE.
Mhm. Even
Yeah,
with the
that's
like
pretty much the op-
what is it, pack rat? You get a lot more rounds And I mean, out the box, it is decent at dealing with a crowd of like chaff enemies, like grunts and slashers and whatnot.
Definitely where it shines. Yeah, trying to pick off the weak enemies. Even even without Fat Boy, it is pretty good still against killing just groups. As you keep shooting grenades into them, the ones in the center will die. The ones on the outside will barely survive. They can be picked
Yeah.
off by one of Engineer's many damage sources. I mean, he has so many ways to just continue to apply damage with the turrets, with all the electricity, with fire, with whatever. Shredder grenades that they just added. The
Yeah,
thing
so if
is,
you're not running an over the top version, if you're not running PGL with one of its super specialized overclocks, then I'd bring up NG strongholding again. Like I'd say like started word salad there. I'd say like if I'm strongholding with NG and I don't have an over the top overclock selected, then I feel like I could pop out a more vanilla on PGL and have a convenient AOE to defend myself up close.
Mm.
specifically against weak enemies, though.
Yes.
And that's what I guess I'd say is the big downside, because I feel like if you removed Fat Boy and Hyper Propellant, the weapon kind of just feels like mid, like the not bad tier, because it's really only ever just going to be killing grunts and things similar to that. I mean, unless you reach 140 damage on the weapon, it won't kill Mactera spawn or slashers.
We're gonna get to it soon, but in the situation that I just described, I feel like its competition is just too fierce with NG's other heavy weapons
That is true.
to fill
Yeah.
that niche.
Wow.
And like I said earlier too, there's going to be a time and a place to really talk about Hyper Repellent and Fat Boy in detail if we ever get to
Yeah,
that tier list. So
but they are very strong.
Those two, it keeps it relevant to these high tiers, I will say. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean,
when
but if
you're
it's a
looking at
spiritual rocket stone for you, I respect that.
yes.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's so satisfying. It's great for a beginner. And I really like the one that makes a grenade go far, the increased velocity. I don't use it without that.
Oh, that's a
And
crazy good one.
if we truly made like the a pinnacle autism like 5 out plus hour long analysis video, then I would be rocket stone for me if the mission type is egg hunt. So
Okay,
yeah,
yes. You
I'll end
always
it
like to
there.
bring a fat boy. That sense, yeah. Well, I'll just leave at the top of mission controls. I wish I could, but there's another one that deserves this spot, and I will be honest. The breach cutter.
Yes.
I know.
It might
It's
even. I think it's above the Hurricane too, because it's so fucking good.
it's great. I mean,
Now, what makes this weapon, I think, so good is that out of the box, without any upgrades on it, like whatsoever, the amount of damage it deals is about comparable to a Fat Boy. See, without any damage at all, it's 575. Like the Fat Boy with 2 damage mods can reach up to 600. And it only has 5 shots compared to the Breach Cutter having like 18 by default, and then you can get even more. Or was it 12 by default and then 18 max, I think. Then again, if you don't have the full 18 rounds, you can get extra damage, and then it's 750 damage. That's more than Fat Boy's, whole explosion. And it just cleaves infinitely through enemies
mm,
until the projectile kind of falls out of the sky after 1.5 seconds. You can upgrade that, I think, to 3 seconds.
this deletes enemies, man. It just like, especially in a funneling situation, it just gets rid of them. I can't lie.
Breach Cutter is efficiency incarnate in this game. It's actually obscene, especially like when we're considering the typical environments and circumstances that we find ourselves in Deep Rock, which are usually confined and funneling.
Absolutely.
It can phase through the terrain. So even if it's not the most, because like you guys just described, it might be ideal to endlessly cleave, through incoming waves with the breach cutter, but at the expense of a little bit of ammo efficiency, you can safely neutralize cave leeches and spitballers, any kind of a pre-spawned enemy, and you don't have to endanger yourself.
Yeah, it can work really well in a pinch, like kind of just to help you out of a bad situation.
I
I think
can't emphasize like how awesome it is to have like the ability to engage without line of sight in this game.
Hmm.
Because we
And
often
just
do
goes
find
through
ourselves
everyone.
in an and that's the thing too with the breach cutter because it's like I don't even need to have line of sight on an enemy file. Like I could just like we could be. This is actually a fairly common situation in mining missions. We could be like in rooms that have undulations in the terrain, like in the topography, where but you can see like where your teammates are, and then relativize like where the glyphids like are congregating. Just fire a breach cut. You have a breach cutter shot. You have no terrain. You have no terrain penalty, and it just cleaves through them.
That is super powerful. It definitely
It's fire and
deserves.
forget. Like it's efficiency, fire and forget. It's fairly forgiving with ammo. If you max them, and that's the thing too. You don't really need to optimize this weapon for damage.
No, out the box. It's
Yeah,
already
that's what's funny. I mean, so many shots when you hit the not only will it kill the grunts like with the grenade launcher, but when it hits the big enemies, it also deals a lot of damage to them. That's something the grenade launcher really doesn't do without overclock.
You have the high voltage crossover overclock, and it only the only penalty really is that you just have one. You have two shots instead of three, but that can stun a Praetorian for over 3 seconds, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, very long electrocution on that.
And it
And
immobilizes a bulk detonator like just as much as I think um, the electric fence with the stubby turrets.
yeah, it locks them down pretty well.
it is honestly kind of OP. I can't lie.
It's quite OP. I don't know how it's never really been nerfed. I think they even made some of these overclocks a little better. Roll control is something they changed. You can now like roll the projectile and twist it around in midair so that it doesn't just go in a straight line. You can kind of help yourself out when being in a straight line, doesn't work. Although then again, that whole the bullet going in a straight line, that helps when you're in a tunnel, and it helps when you're outside in a big area because enemies just kind of crawl after you, in a huge wave, and they're lined up perfectly for some breach cutter shots. Inferno's got the fire
I
damage,
also think
spinning death.
it's kind of like necessary to get the three, at least the three lines upgrade.
I quite like it. I have used the other one too, plasma trail.
Oh, really? I
If
didn't.
Yeah, if you can line it up decently, I think, and there'll be a little bit of like area where you can't hit, so that's like something you can only get with the triple beam. But if you do line it up well enough to hit like a wave of enemies with just that one line, it leaves like a little plasma trail that will kill or at least hurt anyone who survives. And it can kind of work against the little swarmers, so that's sort of a niche there in case you find yourself surrounded by swarmers. And the PGL again, it'll pop a bunch of swarmers, but it won't kill a bunch of them like in a row over time like this can.
I
Yeah,
agree,
you
man.
may have to wait for the right moment to shoot or contrive those circumstances to a degree, but the results speak for themselves, as Justin just elaborated.
Absolutely, it's top tier.
Yeah, with every overclock, even the clean ones. That's how I
Similarly
know
to
it's
the
amazing.
M1000. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying that's how you know it's really good. It just works with anything, including with no overclock.
Similarly to the M1000, I think this is another weapon where the devs would really have to think hard about how to mess it up, like how to nerf it into oblivion. I think it's slightly more vulnerable to that than the M1000 because its projectiles are, it's not just a simple, it's not just a gun. It does have a unique profile and um, a unique type of ammo or a unique projectile.
Yeah.
But as it stands, it's like I don't, it seems like it'd be difficult to balance this weapon, quote unquote, while not like profoundly changing what it is.
Mm-hmm. Super strong, man. You can't go wrong if you pick it on NG.
It's just so synchronized. Like I mean, like with what Deep Rock offers in terms of
Yeah,
gameplay and situations.
One more thing to
and
note about it. Can it not
uh,
also phase through unbreakable armor?
yes, it goes through unbreakable armor.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Unlike the other two secondaries, which will get stuck on unbreakable armor and like lose all or most of its damage.
Yeah, this can go through, which is
It's a
insane.
bit of out of scope for this tier list, but if you ever try to play the game on on the maximum hazard, like hazard 5+, then I can't imagine, like, this is the only NG heavy weapon that I can imagine bringing at the moment.
It's only
So
got one real downside too that I can think of, and that's that it won't really be so great against flying bugs because it won't explode and pop them. You
Mm,
kind of have to really hope that they're gonna line up in a way you can hit them.
that is
But
true.
that's it. That's like the only really bad thing.
Mhm. And I'd say, like, the bad thing about it is that when you are confronted with when Mactera really get in your face, like, the breach cutter could definitely take them out. It's just the situation where it's not the most efficient, for sure.
Yeah.
That's the one
But I guess
situation.
that's more in an open-ended, like, I could see that being an issue in a lot of egg hunts or an escort duty.
Yeah, super strong. No doubts. Moving on though. This is one, the shard diffractor. I would put it at the bottom of rock and stone, honestly.
Com- Completely agreed. It's just that
It's
good.
yeah, it's really strong. It's not as versatile and crowd cleary as the breach cutter, but like when you focus this on one enemy's weak spot, it deletes them.
Absolutely does. And that's something that, yeah, you have to tweak the other weapons to kind of do that a bit more. This one kind of just does it right out of the box. Almost
Yeah.
like the minigun, kind of in a laser form,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
but even better accuracy, of course. It's a
Yeah,
laser.
super range. You can snipe Praetorians from way far. Um, yeah,
And that's even
and
without the overclocks.
you can even kind of use it to crowd control if you like swing it around a lot. Um, you can use it like
Yeah,
that.
you can increase that the splash range. It has a little bit of splash wherever it shoots, so it'll radiate some heat. There's even overclocks for that. I think there's one where it gets a bigger like wave as you shoot longer and longer. So if you just focus your laser on the healthiest enemy in the center, over time it'll slowly start reaching everyone around him and then burn them down too. Be quite efficient, honestly.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, John, what do you think?
So it's not a fire and forget weapon for sure, like the breach cutter or PGL, but yeah, I'd agree with your assessment so far that it it's just um it's really solid damage, and with the right builds, it's even solid spread and environmental effects
Like magma, the
right out of the
magma
bag.
overclock.
My favorite for it,
My
yeah.
favorite as well. The value is insane. If you just burn the floor a bit, you set fire to so many enemies and just deal so much damage via the direct magma on the floor too.
Volatile impact reactor, like the heat damage is actually quite impressive. I've
Oh yeah,
noticed, especially if you keep plastering, the. As a matter of fact, sometimes I think volatile impact reactor is kind of like the breach cutter, but for environments that are more cylindrical or helix like. When enemies are crawling on surfaces that really present. I like to call them awkward highways. Like, I mean, that glimpse into the fight from, and if you really plaster those funnels with the shard diffractor multiple times, then the impressive heat damage just keeps stacking on them.
yeah, and you'd find that all over any tunnel, escort duty, that new what's the new mission? Like the deep scan,
It really
all
is
these
the
things.
ultimate. It is the ultimate premeditative weapon for the final dive portion of deep scan, because you're just going down you're basically creating you're creating like a big round shaft, and you can just plaster it. You can also run overdrive. I believe it's called overdrive booster, right?
Yeah,
You can run overdrive booster, and that's probably the most effective way to deal damage to an oppressor head on. Not the most
Mm,
ammo efficient, but it speaks for how how much concentrated DPS with the added bone benefit of a heavy armor negation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Is
does
that the one
lock you
that
in.
makes the laser super big?
Makes it super powerful,
Um,
but you can't move. Kind of like and that's interesting. I like the analogy you made to the minigun because just like Leadstorm, you can't move when you activate
yeah,
an overdrive boost. So
yeah, you kind of get locked there, and you have to spend that amount of ammo. Also, try to cancel it; it'll spend the same amount of ammo, I believe. So you kind of lock yourself in. I think it does make the beam brighter. I'm not completely
it
sure,
does a little bit.
and just
That's pretty
much
sick.
stronger. Yeah, crazy damage on it. The other ones are kind of weird, but they work. They certainly work. Oh, Plascrete Catalyst, right? That's the other kind of cool one
Yeah, I
that
used that
blows
one
up.
the other time. It blows up the platform. Although it
That
seemed
does
kind
a
of
lot of damage.
inconsistent to me though. I don't know.
It is a
Incon-
little.
is it inconsistent in how long it takes for the platforms to blow up
I believe so, yes.
individually?
I
Also,
think you have to
it's
keep
hard to blow
hitting
them
them.
up when enemies are walking over them, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll reset the timer to explode every time you hit them, so it's a little awkward.
And it's easy to make such convoluted jungles of platforms that you don't even know which one is blowing up. So
Precisely, yes.
Still a cool gimmick though, because the weapon is so solid that even with that kind of dragging it down, it's really not that bad anyway.
Yeah. Because out the box, it's already good.
I
Yeah.
think it's slightly more overclock dependent than the well. That's the thing because I mean we just went over how the breach cutter is great without overclocks, but um I think the shard is mildly eccentric dependent on overclocks, like to maximize its outputs, but they're more than respectable.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think the range and the single target damage alone, like, kind of keep it in a somewhat even playing field. And the upgrades are again like really simple. Not a bunch of dumb choices, kind of just very sensible things.
There are situations where I can imagine liking or preferring hyper propellant just for the raw concentrated damage compared to an overdrive shard diffractor. But at the same time, if I do run shard diffractor, like I think it's great for deep dives because you're not trading you're not over specializing in anything necessarily, like with hyper propellant.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
it's
the mission,
solid.
like could start out a deep dive could start out with elimination or industrial sabotage, and um, I can have very solid, if I mean really great weak spot damage, but then I'm not completely like bummed out if the next mission's an egg hunt, and I wish I had more AOE.
Yeah, versatile.
Yeah,
Exactly,
strongly
yeah. Simply
versatile.
simply put, it's versatile,
Hmm.
and it's not like we ever willingly desire to play industrial sabotage
No,
on our
never.
own. So
Mm-mm.
yeah.
And I don't think the ammo. I don't think the ammo is that bad
Yeah,
either.
it's not. It's 300 to 400. If you don't take extra ammo and you take extra damage instead, the damage kind of mostly pays for itself. And it
Mm.
kills quicker, of course. You can also take extra area damage if you want to try to kill groups a little bit better. And it's decent.
Definitely.
Do you
We'll
have an
use it
opinion on
more.
the feedback loop overclock, Justin? Have you ever
You
used
know,
that?
honestly, barely used it. And that was the one I was talking about, right? Yeah, where the
I think
AoE
you
gets
mentioned,
bigger.
yeah.
It does work in that way. Like if you focus on one enemy, the eventually it'll like emanate a bigger radiation and kill everyone around him. So it's kind of like you're two birds at one stone. You can focus on what the weapon's good at, which is killing one guy. But then over the course of you doing that, you build up so much like area damage and size that you start killing the whole group too. Just a bit slower than the breach cutter as far as like how quickly it'll do all that killing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely a little trickier to pull out the shard diffractor and save yourself from a point blank swarm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be a little
Bit
smarter. But
trickier.
then you get all that range, right? Like
I
unlimited
don't think
range.
that's what NG is. I feel like as a class, he's oriented more towards strong pointing and really being the mass killer when that strong point is established.
I'll
Absolutely.
say it feels good with the shotgun.
Hmm.
It
Quite
does,
good.
yeah.
Although, let's move on to our final class. The last class, Driller. And starting out with Driller, we have his CRISPR flamethrower. My initial thoughts around here. My
Oh, that
initial
beautiful
thoughts.
CRISPR.
Hmm.
Spiritually, it's a rock and stone tier for me, but purely in a purely spiritual way. But yeah, I'd say that's a good spot.
Yeah, I mean it's solid. It's Driller's first weapon. You start to understand its role as a crowd control. Um, it burns stuff and pretty well. And you can make it burn stuff better with upgrades and overclocks.
It's actually a solid weapon without overclocks, especially the earlier, like when you're newer.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does have some pretty strong upgrades, just like on the weapon in general.
Any standout overclocks? I know Sticky Flames. Is that an upgrade or overclock?
That's an unstable overclock, sticky fuel.
Yeah, it leaves the flames on the floor a lot. More CC. Even when you're not shooting or spraying.
It's pretty good. A lot of crowd controls. If you get the slowdown on the upgrades, like on the mod tier list, it can slow down by like 50%. Lasts a long time, deals a lot of damage over time on the ground. Um, the only thing I guess it's not doing is it's not killing the fastest. Because if you want to kill the fastest, you kind of need to combine as much fire as possible, which is like 3 to 4 different sources. You can have your direct flame plus the sticky flames on the ground, plus the burning status that an enemy gets once you heat them up enough. And then you can get a fourth source of fire, I guess, from heat radiance. It's like the tier 5 upgrade, where every second it explodes a bit of heat around you, burn everything around you. When you get all 4 of those like fire effects at the same time, it does a lot of damage. So much so that the bosses and like heaviest enemies reduce fire damage by 50% or so, but it just goes to show how much it deals. Mostly it's going to be good at killing little enemies, but spreading the heat around, spreading the fire, it's really good. It's mostly about killing. A bit of slowdown. It can have some fear effect. I think there's a fear only on direct hits. So you can kind of crowd control outside of killing, but yeah, it's about killing little guys, setting big ones on fire so that you can get type of combos off with your secondaries or your teammates like a gunner.
Of all the weapons we've gone over so far, I think the flamethrower really is the most straightforward and convenient point and click swarmer type killer,
Yeah.
That's true.
and in a sustained way as well. I mean,
Leaving those flames.
you might not get three and without overclocks because naturally like a bullet hell lead storm is just aim and my 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 brain dead gameplay can just kill every swimmer type around me, but the flamethrower is just doing that without overclocks. And if you
Yeah.
look with attention and focus.
Yeah, as
Now
long as you focus on the fire.
there is this one overclock where you can shoot a whole bunch of flames at once and it can delete things in front of you, especially chaff
Scorching
enemies.
tide.
Yeah,
The newest one, yeah.
I love
It's
that one.
it's pretty good, honestly.
That's
Face Melter
insane.
used to be the best damage one outside of that. And honestly, when it was only Face Melter, I would have said this weapon was lower tier. But now that Scorching Tide is there and it's like it can deal damage immediately and also to a large group instead of trying to inefficiently burn enemies as fast as possible, which isn't really so good when you're considering letting them burn over time with the flames on the ground and on their body. Yeah, Scorching Tide kind of elevates the weapon up. Aside from that, everything on it is good.
Yeah.
I really like how you brought that up because even though I'm the type that loves, especially because the driller is the class that can force the funneling circumstance, wherever he is essentially. You can just, make a bunker, like make a decently long tube, line it up with sticky flames and with the sticky flame overclock and melt, you know, you can deal with entire, waves like that, but that's obviously not the only situation we encounter in the game. It's nice
Yeah.
to also like have that niche for when it's escort and you want to be a valid source of damage to an oncoming wave in a wider area.
Hmm.
Also
Yeah, and
doesn't hurt to melt the Praetorians, the hardened targets.
I forgot to mention that about the drills. Yeah, it syncs well with his drills because you can just keep making areas to escape to and cover with fire and shoot
Absolutely.
flames down, kind of trap all of them. And an either 10 or 15-meter long beam or even 20-meter long beam with full upgrades. And the drills kind of finish off enemies that are burning. If you have vampire, you can heal off of that. I mean, it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, I'm
solid.
personally preferential to the forced funneling model, but I understand that for a weapon to really shine, it should excel in those other conditions.
Yeah, it can be deceptively complex, but at the same time, it's very easy to learn.
Hmm. Yeah. So I guess we'll leave it here for now. Around this area,
Yeah.
and we're gonna move on to a weapon that I don't have any real experience using, the cryo cannon.
Oh my. Well, I think it goes above the flamethrower.
Wow.
And it might even be rock and stone tier because cryo in and of itself is just like the strongest uh status effect in the game for the most part.
It does instantly kill Nectara. Yeah.
Insta kill flyers. Anything on the ground will pretty much become frozen solid. They can't attack, they can't do anything. So they're, not a threat anymore. And at the same time, they're taking like 3 times extra damage from all bullets. Well, yeah, it gets pretty ridiculous pretty quick. You can throw axes into that. Even the Subata pistol that's normally usually trying to hit weak points, like it can just start shredding down a frozen enemy. Same thing with the EPC. Yeah, and your whole team also just benefits off hitting everything that's frozen. The weapon's a little
Yeah.
weird. It does have some weird, I think, upgrades and overclocks that kind of make it hard to like efficiently freeze all the time. But for the most part, if you find your footing and experiment, you're gonna freeze everything, and then everything is gonna die, and your game will probably lag a bit because of the particle effects.
What does John think?
Um, so I'm not as preferential to to the cryo cannon personally because with driller, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I like to force funnel, and I do think, comparatively speaking, the cryo cannon doesn't have as much raw killing power. But of
True.
all of the weapons that have synergy, of all the weapons in the game that are centered around team synergy, like the cryo cannon is probably the most overwhelmingly, it's just
Supportive.
it's crazy supportive. Yeah, exactly. Like there's no other, like it's the ultimate freeze weapon, especially with overclocks.
Hmm. Now that he's put it that way, it must deserve its spot then, at least
I
within
think
Rock and
so.
Stone.
And
Yeah.
even without the team thing going on, which the teams do help, but even if you just like there's a few upgrades that kind of help you kill things. Like you can shatter enemies with the fragile upgrade. So even if you don't finish them off when they're frozen, it has a chance to like deal a bunch of damage to them. Drills hurt frozen enemies quite a bit. Gets extra damage. There's the ice spear that shoots a spear of like ice out, deals a ton of damage just on its own. And if you shoot it
Hmm.
versus a frozen enemy, yeah, it can shatter them. It can even, I think it one shots some of the enemies. Like it deals so much damage even without them
Is
being.
that an overclock?
Yeah,
It is, yeah, and it has almost no downside. It's a balanced, but the thing is, the downside only happens when you use the actual ice spear. If you never use the ice spear, it's basically just the regular weapon. So
Quick
it kind of has
question.
the best balanced ever.
When they die to the ice spear, do they freeze or do they ragdoll?
They'll ragdoll
Oh,
unless they're already frozen first.
I need to check that out then.
It destroys menaces so bad. Wardens too. Anyone with a weak spot, if you hit it, it's really good. Crystal nucleation like freezes enemies, leaving ice trails on the ground and deals extra damage to them. So you can pop them without even needing to finish them off with another weapon.
this lets driller, like, this weapon when built in particular ways really gives driller the ability, like, for them. I suppose the class is oriented towards crowd control, but he can be unusually effective add single target damage with the cryo cannon,
Yeah, once you
priority
get the
target,
frozen started.
but in
I
very
know you use
roundabout ways
Snowball.
compared to just being a weak spot exploiter or
Yeah,
ignoring conventional durability.
Wow. Well,
I mean, my
yeah,
favorite overclock is a snowball because I love it's basically it's very similar to Scout's cryo grenade, but you get even more uses of it.
yeah,
It's
just
not
a
the most
big freeze and like a huge radius. Can freeze
it's,
like a whole pack of Mactera out of the sky in one hit.
it can, and also unlike Scout's cryo grenade, it's more accurate,
Yeah,
arguably. I mean, it definitely
mm,
requires focus and circumstances aligning, but I don't know. It's just my personal favorite. I mean, I understand that the some of the most popular builds in the game involve the cryo cannon. What would it be, Justin? Would it be flow control, or is it another overclock I'm thinking of, like a tune
it has
cooler?
those two balanced are pretty weird. Tune cooler and flow rate expansion. They both try to offer different ideas of the same thing, like more efficient freezing, but I think only one of them really seemed to work that well. I think it was
But
flow
for
rate
years, like one
expansion.
of the most popular driller builds that we've observed is like fast freezing and impact axes with
Yeah.
EPC. Like you mentioned, well, you already mentioned the EPC synergy earlier, but I always remember that being one of the most popular driller builds.
Oh, for a very long time, because it really was just kind of better than setting enemies on fire and then pistoling them to death. You just stop them, freeze them, and then pop them with the stupid plasma gun.
Yeah,
Also, ice
over
gun.
time, I think I have to respect that a bit more because, like, I suppose if a weapon's effectiveness is probably like best demonstrated by its performance in various conditions, not just forcing a funnel.
Yeah.
mhm.
Although it is pretty good in funnel. It does leave some ice trails and
I think
will
it's
catch a
okay.
lot of enemies.
I just don't think it's as ammo efficient as the flamethrower or the sludge pump when we get to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And
It does run
funneling
out of ammo
specifically.
kind of quick.
Speaking of the sludge pump, we'll move on to it. And for me, this is here, honestly. And I mean, it's it's really cool. The acid, the sludge, I really like that. I like how much it slows enemies. Like it really it just leaves these massive puddles that really slows enemies. And it slows them really quickly. Like it's not like you need to wait to apply. It just instantly applies, more or less. And I love the death animation too, of them melting. And it's strong. I mean, I think it's pretty strong.
I think sludge pump is my second favorite driller weapon, next to and again, like I absolutely respect our placement of the cryo cannon. I'm just preferential to the flamethrower personally, but the sludge pump, I feel like it has a lot of the pros of the flamethrower, but it excels in large scale and like wide debilitation.
Mm,
I think it's better in just general open environments compared to the flamethrower because, like you said, you can puddle a wide area, and as a matter of fact, I think by default, I think the sludge pump might have comparable damage to. I mean, not quite as strong, but I think it's comparable to a sticky fuel flamethrower,
mm.
and that's just a baseline.
And I think it just slows enemies more than the flamethrower. And when you splotch a puddle, it bounces to
It's
other
also more efficient
enemies.
at taking out heavier like Praetorians.
Yeah, and debilitating them. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think either weapon is really designed to mow down Praetorians quickly, but the damage over time I think is much more noticeable
Hmm.
on heavier targets.
Justin, what do you think about this placement?
I pretty much agree. And I especially agree that you put it above the flamethrower because I do think this is kind of like the flamethrower but better. It sort of combines the principles of the flamethrower and the cryo together in both killing an enemy and also like slowing or debuffing them because it does slow on like every hit. It'll slow on a direct hit. It'll slow on the puddle on the ground. And then you can increase the slows, I believe, of both. You can increase the damage over time so that it kills quicker. You can even increase the damage of like the shots themselves so that when you hit the enemy, that instant burst of damage is just a bit higher, kills them that much faster.
Hmm.
Uh, that's something that the other weapons don't really offer. They don't let you hit an enemy and deal a quick burst of damage like all at once.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then when you
And
combine all of the puddles and all of the goo, yeah, they're kind of stuck. It melts armor pretty well too by default, and that's really helpful. Combos well with all
mhm.
of the secondaries to get a lot of damage or
There's
other
actually
extra
something
effects.
funny about that because whenever I use a sludge pump, grunt guards they always end up naked, and it's just funny.
Yeah, they get completely stripped
Has nice detail.
and they become indecent, and then you lay them to rest.
Yeah, I love the sludge pump, man. I know it's over. There has this overclock where you can put more puddles, bigger puddles, and also where it reacts to flames, I think, and explodes. That's great
Yeah, what a
synergy.
great one. That one's insane.
That's
That's the
actually
newest one, and it's crazy. It makes it so much better. You know, before those overclocks came around, I almost think I'd put both of these, like both this and the flamethrower, at like one tier lower. But I feel like once they did that, all of the weapons just compete so much better now.
Yeah, I love this weapon, man. It's strong.
It's got the
Works.
sludge blast too. I don't know if you ever tried that. The shotgun, basically, where
Oh,
it shoots a bunch of, yeah, like a shotgun shot of goo. Just like the shotgun rocket launcher, it does so much damage up close.
I never knew. You see, I still need to get every overclock in this game. I still am missing so many.
Yeah, that's where I feel like the tiers come in, because sometimes you're just stuck slowly getting overclocks. And a weapon can feel so bad for so long until you get like the right thing that clicks for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with displacement. We're ready to move on to his secondaries
Oh yeah.
because this is gonna be the first one I put here. In Deep Rock, he needs to provide better equipment.
This is where I can offer a bit of contrast. I love this gun, and I think
No
it's
way.
not so bad. Honestly, I do.
John
It's
got to be the
mostly
type.
relegated. Yeah, well, I think he'll take probably an in between option, right, John?
I'm gonna be honest. In its current state, I'd put it in not bad or mid, purely because I just think this is such an interesting secondary for Driller because his two other secondaries are kind of like a unique experimental like his two other secondaries are experimental weapons, but this is just a pistol. It's almost something I'd imagine Gunner having, but
Yeah, it's very
but aside
basic.
from that, at the moment I'd have to put it in not bad because one of its overclocks that I love took such a massive hit, I think, in the season 3 update, that I'm just really like, damn, yeah, such simplicity got turned into, a lot of momentum was taken away from what it was offering in sheer simplicity.
Which
And the
Which
one?
one?
overclock from is explosive detonators. They severely nerfed the reload time. I think even did they also nerf the ammo capacity, Justin? Can it only her hold 2 rounds now? I think with that.
Hold on, let me see. It does hold less rounds, yeah. I think that was the same mag size it always had. But I know they did work around the upgrades on the weapon to try and make the weapon better in general. Honestly,
Okay,
this
so it's
weapon
not
used
that
to be
bad.
that bad. It used to be in needs better equipment, but I do think recent efforts have kind of pumped it up a bit.
So from what I understand, did they lower the spread penalty or something, like making it actually accurate for headshots?
Yeah, it's more accurate. There's less competition for the tier 1 accuracy too, because now it's only accuracy or mag size plus 4 rounds. There was a third option that I can't remember, but I remember picking it over accuracy quite a few times.
I actually still like automatic fire Subata, and that's actually what I usually like to run with the corrosive sludge pump.
That runs out of
Yeah, that's
ammo
a great
so
one.
fast. Oh my god.
It does.
It
It's just like
can. You do
I
have
feel.
to kind of be accurate, I guess. That's how I feel about the whole weapon. Like, if I could just quickly say why I think it's good. When you're accurate and you keep hitting those weak point hits, and you use like the right elemental upgrade like with it in tier 5, it'll deal a lot of damage. Like it gets the bonus to burning enemies, right? How much is that? Plus 50% extra damage to burning enemies. If you have your flamethrower, you just burn all the weak enemies, and everyone who's left alive, you can just plink them with bullets, kind of. Automatic fire makes it even quicker, but even without automatic fire, the damage is pretty decent as long as you grab the hollow point bullets for the 100% weak point damage bonus. And then, maybe the other damage, then you get 15 per shot. That also kills a swarmer with one bullet so that you're just killing them without being too annoyed.
And it has ammo efficiency in all these situations as well. But the only thing is that like I have to overpower my I still haven't I'm still sorrowful that I lost my absolutely favorite build for this pistol. So
It was a little weakened, yeah.
I need to explore I need to explore some of its more I need to explore its generic side, like as a pistol, with like accentuated by less spectacular, overclocks and upgrades.
For that, I'd say the two cleans, they're not so bad. That clean homebrew powder that gives like a random damage output. Again, more often than not, it'll give plus 100% damage or like over 100% damage. So on average, it is giving you a damage boost. And the chain hit's pretty decent.
I think on Justin's based on Justin's assessment here, I think I could bump it up to effective personally.
I think it could hover on either.
But
Honestly,
mentally,
I wouldn't be against people putting it like in not bad because I know it does take like if I'm serious, like if you want it to be good, you have to always hit a weak point and just only focus on that. When you hit the body, you're so much damage is just down the drain.
yeah, it's just like I think it's one of the most interesting weapons in the game because it's a pistol. Like there's nothing really over the top about it. So
Yeah. And that's
I
why I
find
feel
it
like it kind of
extremely
goes well almost with the driller's flamethrower because that's such a weird weapon and it's kind of unorthodox in close range. But then you got a pistol that it kind of sucks, but you can sort of snipe and you can take care of the things that the flamethrower kind of can't.
Yeah, Driller has an interesting dichotomy with his primaries and secondaries, and I think the Subida most so.
Yeah, it's definitely the weakest though of his primaries, but it's pretty cool, honestly.
This is just my attempt. And again, even though I find it difficult to compare to other weapons because of its very pure secondary status, like well, again, I'd respect an effective placement. Mentally, it's not bad for me, but again, might have some sorrow bias.
Oh, maybe you should try tranquilizer rounds. Those will
I
slow
used to
those
run.
will
I
stop an
remember. I
enemy
remember
for like
years ago I
a
ran
second.
that. That was a solid. Because I mean, it pretty much is a guaranteed stun, even on a Praetorian, right?
Yeah, I think it's like 50% chance, so just 2 shots will probably stun them. And then they're stuck burning, right, from fire for all that time. Yeah, good thing. Although, also, those explosions, they're not that bad. Like, they did get nerfed a bit with the reload, but pump bullets into them, reload, and then you just kind of pop enemies.
To me, it just feels slow now for Has 5. So I prefer automatic fire when I do run it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it there. Not bad. I almost had it here, but you guys argued. So we'll leave
I
it
guess
there.
it's like in between all of our assessments of it.
Yeah.
It's my underdog weapon.
Moving on to this. This one I also don't have much experience with. And in fact, from the experience I had, I would put it here.
Oh, really? Wasn't
I
good?
mean, there was just nothing very notable, and it didn't didn't seem very effective. But I don't know if I was using it right. Also, I didn't have overclocks. Um,
Yeah. It's a little weird without some of the overclocks. I'll say some people think this weapon's like S tier perfect and that it can't compete. I don't really think that's true. Obviously, I like the Subata, so maybe I have screws loose, but there are ways this weapon does fall short for sure. It's certainly not perfect, and it does really go best, I think, with the cryo cannon. Overall, I'd say effective, or even mission control approves. Um, I guess we'd have to hear John's argument too, but
yeah.
I can say out of the box, this weapon does perform. It's slow. projectiles. They deal a good amount of damage. No weak point bonus, but they can hit a weak point if you're accurate and you don't hit their body with the big, bulky orbs.
I just think it's okay, to be honest. Like it's solid. It it
Better
it,
than I
it,
thought
it,
it
it
would be.
it does some damage. Now, I mean, like my opinion of it has improved a bit. I mean, not by a whole lot, but a bit after the explosive reload nerf from Subata. Um, the one thing that I don't like about the EPC is that its charge shot still just feels so underwhelming.
Yeah, it's really bad if you don't grab tier 5, 1 or 2, A or
I
B.
wasn't expecting it to be something, spectacular, but I thought that, like, can it even one shot a grunt guard? Can it? Like,
Mm.
I don't think it can on Has 5, right?
I don't remember how much damage it does, but it's not that strong.
I know it's not really weak spot intensive.
Yeah, no. It'll hit it, but it won't ever get a bonus. Its best damage is against a frozen target because it technically has the highest base damage. The pistol bullets are kind of weak without weak point, and the wave cooker that we'll get to. It's not not the craziest damage you'll ever see.
Yeah, so personally, like, I think it's respectable if I just run like energy rerouting and I have like a fairly ammo efficient and fairly um because I mean, I suppose compared to the Subata, like, because I actually might end up agreeing with every assessment that you made about the Subata. Like, I mean, if I can, play some games and and if I can play some more games with it with less over the top builds. But I feel like the EPC is probably a bit more forgiving because it relies less on weak spot hits compared to the Subata.
Yeah, that is what kind of makes it a little
I'm
better.
not even going to comment on the main reason it's so popular for its mining capabilities because that's irrelevant to combat. But it's yeah, I just think it's okay. Like I'm going to be honest, I think this is the most mid weapon in the game. If I'm being honest, it's hard to compare to secondaries to primary weapons, in my opinion.
It
But
is. It's honestly strange, and it feels a little carried by certain interaction. I would have to add, or I guess it wouldn't be fair without me saying that thin containment field, the implosion upgrade that John said for mining, it can be used for mining. So like if you don't know what that is, Javal, it's basically a thing where you shoot like a charge shot, and if you shoot it again with a normal shot while it's floating, it'll create like this implosion that sucks things in, deals a ton of damage, and also mines out minerals and terrain.
Mm. Yeah.
It deals a lot of damage. If you can successfully like shoot an orb over an enemy and then like pop it midair and get that implosion damage, the damage is crazy and it's like better than the other two weapons, but it's that one very specific interaction.
Mm.
I
The
feel like
other
this could be
option is
Hazard 5. Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say the other option aside from that was what is it? Burning Nightmare that goes it turns your charge shot almost like a breach cutter shot where it'll go through enemies infinitely. It'll pop on terrain though, and it'll set them on fire instead of exploding with plasma damage. So those are both decent. It's a strange weapon. I mean, it can set off that explosive goo with that heat that I just talked about, that burning nightmare. It could set off regular goo to burn. I mean, it's really not bad. It's just a strange weapon. You have to get used to its weird, slow firing and kind of like close range utilization.
I see. Okay.
I think those are such. It might be Has 5 centric, but those are situations like it's hard for me to pull out the plasma charger and do charge shot antics when I have something like the sludge pump or the cryo cannon or the flamethrower.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
if I have ammo for those weapons, like I'm just the type where it's difficult for me to just pull it out and use it like that when I feel like the job is being done by other
then
means.
again, I mean, there's heavy hitter too, which just increases the normal shot damage, and I think that's the best one if you just want to spam click things to death. I think when you really consider all of those playstyles, I would put it in effective tier because I have seen it used to amazing effect, but Yeah, you're gonna have to come over the hump of the weapon basically and kind of figure out which way you want to exploit its strength.
One other thing I've noticed about this weapon, I think you have to choose the charge shot. I think if you want to play it with optimized charge shot, I'm pretty sure you have to trade 2 ammo upgrades to maximize it. And
Oh,
I
to get
by
the extra
default
damage and all.
I by default am major ammo saver.
Yeah, honestly, it's a
With all my
lot like
builds.
smarter to just go with the thin containment field instead of trying to like get the regular blasts and get those implosions. But again, that is like it's a weird kind of skill you have to learn. But I think that's a fair placement.
Fair enough. We'll leave it here. I definitely need more experience with this. But his last weapon, the Colette Wave Cooker. This is a very interesting one. I have some experience, not a lot. I don't have any overclocks.
Sad.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's my favorite driller secondary, personally.
Where would you put it?
Nice. I thought it would be.
Um, it's probably somewhere ineffective, maybe beneath the Zukovs, or actually maybe even beneath the arms coil.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
know it
like a
has
swap.
It's a very gimmicky weapon, in my opinion,
yeah.
but I think it does those gimmicks well.
Can it phase through terrain by any chance?
It doesn't phase
It
through
cannot
terrain,
now.
but it has infinite range.
Yeah, I
It
noticed
does.
that.
And its hit scan hits instantly too. Deals a very mediocre amount of damage, but in a
Yeah.
radius, so it can hit a group. So it's kind of like his primaries. It's like you're trying to hit groups of enemies all at once. It combos with every primary, I should say, because it has a neurotoxin upgrade for when you use corrosive. It has exothermic reactor, which can cause temperature shock on any frozen or burning enemies. That covers the other two
That's why I
primaries.
like it so much. Exothermic reactor is so powerful, and it
Kind of
has
carries
and
it.
and it has no has no downside, right? Really. So
Other than it ends the special status. That's the one thing I want to say is kind of not so good about this weapon is that if you're running cryo, which is really strong because you're freezing enemies and then popping them with a lot of damage, exothermic will unfreeze the enemy and deal like 200 or so damage. It's a decent amount of damage, but it's not better than letting them stay frozen. So I feel like it never really paired well with cryo. So what else can you use? Boiler ray to just like blow things up when you kill them when they're
yeah,
frozen.
to me
That's
the wave cooker, I think the wave cooker synergizes with the flamethrower the way the EPC synergize with the cryo cannon. That's just my,
yeah,
and that's probably why I like the flamethrower even more now compared to the past, because I feel like I can just quickly snap out the collet and what the flamethrower, while the flamethrower is completely reliant on, well, with the exception of, what was that overclock called again? The one that gives it the area damage.
what the
I know
flamethrower?
yeah, I know we're not talking about flamethrower right now, but I feel like I have to cite
Scorching
that.
tide was it?
Yeah, scorching tide. Yeah, I feel like for the way that I build the flamethrower, I just feel like wave cooker is the perfect complement, because with the sticky fuel damn it, with the instant gratification that exothermic reactor provides, I feel like I can melt big enemies just as effectively.
Yeah, if you keep setting them on fire, keep shocking the fire off them, you'll do pretty good chunks of damage to them.
It's definitely pertinent to how I build to my own personal loadouts, but I just love it. I love gamma contamination because I think radiation is just one of the best debuffs in the whole status debuffs in the whole game. Rare,
Oh
but
yeah, radiation. Uh, outside of radioactive zone, it's pretty much unmitigated. Like enemies won't resist this really.
One
and it
comment
lasts a while.
Yeah, it
I
lasts
do
quite a
have
while.
is I know this has good synergy with the sludge pump in one overclock. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, that too. Honestly, it's good with the sludge pump in general, kind of because it has that neurotoxin chance. It gets increased damage versus anyone who's corrosive, and then it
Contagion
also
transmitter.
rolls. Yeah,
Might
and
That's
then
an
it
need
upgrade.
rolls
that.
a chance for
That's not even overclock.
neurotoxin
That's an
on.
upgrade, right?
It's an upgrade.
Yeah, that's just an upgrade. So just by putting that on with any goop builds, you instantly just get a ton of value, poisoning enemies. That's extra damage over time, slow down, and then yeah, extra corrosive damage. The damage is kind of low, but when you keep up the damage with your primaries and use this to support, it's pretty good at finishing things off.
Honestly, considering all the unique playstyles, I might even bring it up a bit. Uh, the unique
Yeah, I
synergies, sorry.
Yeah, when you get to the overclocks too, like Gamma, like he said, blistering necrosis is good. It creates little weak spots that you can exploit with even the freaking pistol.
Blistering Necrosis is a great team synergy sometimes.
Yeah,
That
really
can
good.
really again, like, I suppose the situations where it could really I don't know if the game provides many situations where, like, I guess it's good during like a Praetorian swarm specifically. I'm just having a hard time thinking of like a mission that's built around, large enemies where creating weak spots, really is really advantageous, but solid.
Yeah, well, I
Accentuate
think
scout.
that's a good placement around here. High effective, yeah.
I just
Yeah,
think no.
definitely.
When it comes to driller secondaries, I acknowledge this is probably where my biases are the are the most noticeable.
Oh, and with your favorite Javali, it kills the jellies right out of the sky. Easier than any other
Oh
weapon.
yeah, that is true. Yeah,
Completely
immediately,
pop
yeah.
and exploders. Pops them without the actual explosion.
And it's interesting that they traded that effect. The sludge pump was the weapon they used to have that effect, but they traded it with the wave
Yeah,
gunner.
it was weird. I don't know why they did it, but kind of fits, I guess. Does make this weapon stand out a bit more.
Well, with that being said, we can move on quickly to the grenades and we can rapid fire this. So the first one we'll start, the sticky nade. For me, this is definitely mission control.
Oh yeah, astute observation right there.
Yeah, I mean it's simple. You throw it, it sticks to surfaces or enemies. But the
It's great for
explosion,
face sticking.
it's pretty good explosion radius. Pretty strong.
Yeah, it is.
Hmm.
It can kill an entire group. Sometimes it's best to just stick it on the floor as like guys are chasing you. Then they'll walk over, kind of like a mine, and then it blows up on all of them evenly.
Exactly.
Otherwise, sticking something like big, like a Praetorian, it'll roll two fear chances. Uh, Once for the direct stick, and then another time for the explosion. Probably scare him away and concentrate damage on him, but also kill whoever's around him. Also good on Mactera too, and it can be good against dreadnoughts even. Although grenades aren't the best against them, you can always stick them in like a particular spot that like hits as many weak points as possible, or just gets a lot of damage on them.
It's not Gunner's most spectacular grenade, but it's definitely his most this basically definitely the safest pick, and probably just the most reliable in any situation.
Yeah,
Is his next one incendiary, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Would you say it's better or
I
I
we
mean
have
it's more of
polarizing
a
opinions, maybe.
yeah. It's more of a
I don't
It's
like
package
this.
over time.
it's my second favorite. Actually it is my favorite Gunner grenade personally because it just synergizes with bullet hell so perfectly.
I will give it that.
When you're
As
not
you're
using
stunning them
bullet
and hitting
hell.
them. Yeah, right.
It's also a very very solid swarm killer. Like,
That's true.
if you especially like in missions that generate a lot of glyphid holes, like you could just like if you trigger a bunch of glyphid holes and then the swarmers are chasing you, like Gunner can just drop one of these and let the other classes save ammo.
Is it better than the sticky though?
It's tough for me to say if like a lot of grenades are better or worse than each other because they're such complementary weapons.
That's true.
Here's what I could say,
This is
or
my
what I
opinion.
think. It will start fire reactions, and that can like strengthen your pistol, right? Your bulldog if you have the volatile bullets. The fire burns enemies over time. It'll probably kill the medium enemies. It burns like the grunts. Enemies stronger than grunts, they'll probably survive the fire unless they stand in the direct like heat for a very long time. Maybe
I think
it's
the
not gonna
incendiaries
hurt
are
good
great at
guys.
equalizing. I think like if for and not just for Gunner, but for basically any class that's running with some damage penalties, I think incendiary grenade is just a good equalizer.
Does it work well against Mactera if you throw it at the flyers? Will it burn a lot of them or not?
Uh, it takes a little Actually, one thing I don't like about the incendiary grenade, if it doesn't hit an enemy on an angled surface, it'll just bounce, and then it could potentially land on you.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
that's
It's not the most
annoying.
forgiving grenade, but it is always satisfying, like when you do, like land a direct hit on an enemy at a strange angle.
Hmm.
It'll burn them. Honestly, I
I
do think it's
guess
worse than a sticky in my own opinion, just because I
within the
like the
same
feel.
vein, though, the sticky can
It's
also
not as versatile.
stick on something you didn't intend. So,
It's true. I do like the sticky sphere, and just the fact that it deals that damage kind of instantly.
mhm.
Uh, it is. I'll say for swarmers, the Molotov or the incendiary is definitely much better because it can burn them over a short period of time as they keep running into the fire.
And as far as the cluster grenades, I would say,
See, for me, that feels like the better incendiary.
yeah, I would almost say so.
Whenever there's a big group, if I throw a cluster, it'll probably spread out, hit all of them, kill a lot of them overall, and I can kind of customize how wide I want that to be.
I think it's more gratifying. Although, like, I personally prefer incendiary for the builds that I run more often
Yeah,
than not.
you do
Build
keep them
centric.
quite stunned inside the fire, so that is a strong thing. I do think cluster might just be better, like in general, because a lot of people might not be doing that. Keeping enemies locked down with stuns.
Yeah.
If I have to bring out the objectivity in me, then yeah, I think sticky grenades would be Gunner's best quote unquote grenades, just because of how um versatile they are, and
Even
with the right aim.
what about tactical lead burster? I never use this one ever. So
I really like it. It's kind of become my main grenade.
Concentrations of DPS in a tiny radius.
yeah, yeah. I heard they're super strong. When Justin said. And I guess you could
Miss a
call
few
them
kills. Yeah,
maybe Gunner's best,
I
possibly.
I
can't
think if
really
you
speak
apply
for
them very well, I think they can have the best effect. But they are a little harder to apply than the others, I guess.
They also, without a doubt, like have even more so than clutch grenades. I think they have some of the worst friendly fire potential.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm. Oh
Used to be even
dear.
worse. You
Like
used to actually kill
it
yourself.
actually sucks for one of these things to land like right under you, because if you've seen how much damage they can do to a bulk detonator with the right placement, then yeah, it doesn't translate well to dwarves.
I still keep them at the top of mission control. Do you think they deserve S? I mean, you say they can kill both super fast.
Well, no, because that requires like exceptional aim, and it's
Mm.
usually compounded. It's usually compounded by other damage going into it. But do you know that's exact circumstance I'm thinking of, Justin?
To kill the bulk. Honestly,
Well, I
all you
mean,
have to do is get it like right under their face. It's rather
yeah.
consistent.
Okay,
If it
well,
doesn't kill it in the 2 grenades, they'll be like left with almost no health.
let's see. All right, well, yeah, pretty strong picks for Gunner. I mean, pretty much every grenade, well, most, it's pretty strong. But moving on to Scouts. His first one is Inhibitor Field, and honestly, could be our first S for grenades.
I think so.
It's it's strong. It
You get 6 of
slows.
them.
Hmm.
It has a fairly wide. I mean, I guess the only drawback of this grenade is that it's hard to it's hard to make it useful against Mactera. But I guess not every tool in the game can be absolutely effective against everything.
Hmm.
But you could still set up again. You can still be in funneling situations where even the aerial enemies, can't escape it, and it just accentuates everything else. Yeah, every shot that's being fired, every grenade that's being thrown, enemies are slowing down. It's just free, pretty much. Like I can't really, I just can't really think of a safer pick for a grenade.
What did they take? 3 times damage when
I
they're
Something
think
like
it's
that,
fired?
right?
like I think it's like 33% actually. So it's not an insane amount, but that is pretty strong,
Hmm.
especially when you consider you can also get electric damage on your like Zukovs and on your crossbow, And that's another chunk on top of the 33%. And then like Bullets of Mercy on the GK2 can get 50% on top of that 33%. You can start to get a lot of damage, but just on its own, it's adding a third extra. And that slowdown gives you so much time to hit them. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, think it deserves a spot. The second grenade is cryo, right?
Yeah. And it's very good.
Cryos are strong. Honestly, I could put them in S as well. Um, they're great for swarmers, instant swarmer solution.
The radius is
And
insane on
Mactera.
these things.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like 6 meters.
Yeah,
Insta
that's a
kill
huge.
Swarmers, insta kill Mactera, and then freeze everything else. So the strongest, like with the cryo cannon, the strongest thing in the game is freezing. So you get to freeze them and then pop them with one of Scout's super high damage weapons.
Hmm. Yeah, and then I mean, freezing is like the strongest effect, so the fact that it causes that instantly, right, to most enemies.
Yeah, only a few enemies will be able to survive one. Like, who can survive it, John? Cryo.
Just oppressors, I think.
Right, will you insta
Dreadnoughts.
freeze a brood? And
Um,
was it the flying one, the
although
breeder?
it used to freeze breeders instantly, but now it needs two. They buffed them a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah, or rather they nerfed, I guess, the cryo bit.
They buffed the breeders, or
Yeah.
actually, maybe that's not really about. It's like an immunization. Yeah.
It's still very good though. I mean, incredibly good. The
As
only
far as
downside is you
instant
get four.
gratification goes, it's probably the top of tier grenades when it comes to instant gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're strong. Honestly,
The
maybe
downside,
even
Justin?
They could go above. I mean, yeah, the only downside is you have four compared to the IFG has six. That's what keeps these kind of neck and neck. If you had four IFGs versus four cryos, I think cryo would take it.
and now you got to consider pheromones. These are also really strong.
And
I
they're a little
pers-
strange because they don't deal any damage or buff damage, but they will distract a ton of enemies. And if you have other damage sources going on, like obviously if you have teammates, you don't have to worry. You can throw one of these and your teammates are going to kill everything. If you're on your own, it's a little harder. You have to find a way to kill a bunch of enemies, but that's not too hard when you have a fire spreading shotgun and like explosive crossbow bolts or even
as a
fire
grenade,
cryo bolts,
as a
tasers.
grenade, they're a lower tier for me personally because, like, I respect I respect the pheromone effect, but as a grenade, like, you get four pheromones too, just like cryos, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're yeah. I honestly don't think they're in the same league as cryo grenades
Hmm.
for a pheromone effect that's more sporadic and more prone to entropy than the bolts.
Yeah, because you do have
The
to
bolts are
follow up and
better.
kill those enemies. The bolts are, yeah, so much less commitment.
Yeah, the bolts are better.
Like, I absolutely
So
cannot say that these grenades are irrelevant because the again the effect I emphasize the effect is very respectable, but I just have a preferred way of delivering pheromones.
yeah, I understand that the bolts are more efficient too. Yeah,
And
I
just
mean,
again, direct comparison, I just cannot consider them like directly comparable to cryo grenades for like having like for the same amount of ammo.
yeah, I'll drop them a tier, but I still think they're really strong. Yeah. Um, Voltaic.
You can start with this one, Justin.
I love them. Honestly, I would put them in the great tier or A, however you'd call that. Uh, they can hit up to 9 enemies. They'll stun every enemy for like 8 seconds, electrify them for a short while to kind of give you a bit of a damage boost on certain things. All in all, they can't theoretically affect as many enemies as the other ones, which can like hit huge groups, but at the same time, they're not meant to. They're kind of supposed to stun a bunch of enemies, maybe in a wide area around you, kind of just pull out stuns that you really need in an emergency. And They can also kill swarmers, chain to a few swarmers and kill them. So they don't have the immediacy and they don't have like the insane scale right away, but you get like 8 of them.
Hmm.
Keep throwing, keep stunning when you need it. If you just throw it willy nilly, you'll probably put it a bit to waste. But if you wait for like times where you really need a bunch of enemies stunned for a very long time so you can focus on other things or just focus on finish them off. It also stops bulk detonator completely in its tracks. Even though
Really?
those enemies can't be stunned, yeah. It stops their motion like by 100%. So they'll just be stuck for a while.
As far as I know, this is the most powerful stun in the game.
Yeah,
Hmm.
pretty much.
Maybe it's equalized by the electric fence with turrets, but with far less effort and preparation required.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty strong in that regard. They do their job, and they do it to quite a few enemies. Um, Not instant
Best thing
damage.
about the stun creepers is that you get 8. You get like I think this is you get 8 of them, right, Justin?
Yeah. And you don't
Mm,
get 8 of anything else.
And you just catch it if it doesn't hit anything.
Oh yeah, if you kind of don't get anything, yeah, it just
it
comes
comes
right back
back.
to you
Wow,
and it's no waste whatsoever.
that's insurance. Yeah. Jeez. We'll leave it there then. It's pretty high in mission control approved. If we
Also,
actually
I'm
move
sorry.
on. Yeah.
What I mentioned for I didn't mean to say electric fence again. Stupid's a microconductor.
Oh,
Sorry, I had to
okay.
correct myself there. For some
Not
reason, I
electric
keep
You didn't
fence.
have to. Sun hits,
but
yeah.
comparable. Yeah,
So it's great. It's great. But I think this has to be the first Deep Rock needs to provide
I
the
think
Yeah.
that's what we
equipment
made this tier 4. To be honest, like at this point,
for just for this. Yeah, it doesn't even work half the time, and
It's
it's
such a
just not
dud.
necessary. Mm-mm.
The other grenades can actually kill for engineer. Like this thing just distracts it. I guess if you distract them, you can kill them with your other weapons, but then you have to babysit it so it doesn't get broken by the enemies and then lose its effectiveness.
and pheromones actually makes the enemies kill each other. And again, with pheromone arrows, like all you have to do is anchor like a beefy enemy outside of where you want to be, and it basically becomes a lure that can just damage other enemies or cause turn the septics against them. But
Yeah,
lore, it's
honestly.
just a I mean, well, what objectively though is the current main issue with lore just how few enemies it ends up distracting?
Yeah,
Like,
it
do we
seems to
actually know
not
the
distract
ratio?
many.
It's
I
It
really
don't
feels
know
like
how
not.
many
several less than
total.
a pheromone.
Mm-mm.
I haven't looked at the math of that. I'm sure someone knows that though.
But Justin's
Yeah.
absolutely right in bringing up how a major drawback is that if you just throw one of these into the ether, like or outside of a zone you're trying to defend, it's not even going to survive very long.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Super like I think we'll have to get to the overclock tier list before I go off as hard
It
on
is the
just how
most brain dead, I
bad
guess.
that
It's the
is. Yeah.
easiest, and maybe in solo it'll have extra utility because like there's no other really distractions, maybe. But yeah, as far as it stands, yeah, it needs. I would want it to be buffed.
Man needs one. What's the next NG grenade? The plasma
Plasma.
burst. Solid. It's solid. I would put it above the cluster.
I would also put it above the cluster.
Yeah,
Its
I
chain
mean,
reaction potential is insane. Like it's almost like a mini fat boy in a grenade if you really line up the circumstances well.
Yeah,
hmm
if you
quick
keep the
quick damage.
bounces like all in one area, it'll just explode multiple times in one spot, hit an enemy over and over, kill whole
No
groups.
exaggeration. I think you can kill over 50 enemies at a time with a very well placed plasma grenade. I feel
Mm,
like I've done it before, like dropping into an 8 egg hunt before.
Yeah, if you drop it onto where they're really saturated, it will probably have better results than the cluster grenade. There's also 6 of them instead of just 4. Good fear chance too.
yeah, they're solid, man. Just when you want them up
That's
in
it too. They have
face.
fear.
hmm
They are nasty with friendly fire,
Yeah.
especially with the compared to other grenades. I think there's a very high suicide risk.
hmm I've
Or
definitely had times like that. Yeah.
yeah.
I've hurt myself, yeah.
I think one with a little less of a suicide risk is the mines. And whether or not the mines are better is really debatable. Um,
For me, that's when I'd even drop like down into effective tier for me.
the mines.
Yeah. And it's mostly because they don't target swarmers, which is kind of a good thing. It would
That's
kind of be
true.
wasted on swarmers. But the fact that they won't, help you with swarmers at all kind of makes it sad when all the other grenades at least can, sort of stop swarmers from getting all over you. It does get a lot of value out of those booms if you keep them going, but
Multiple,
at the
yeah.
same time, it can also scare them like enemies away with the fear chance. And I've just found that sometimes I just get wasted explosion. When I get two wasted explosions or like in a row or just a few, I just feel like, I'm not really getting as much value as I feel like a plasma burster where I can control pretty much where all the
Mm.
explosions land.
They do require a lot of foresight too.
It's
And
true, yeah.
when you make a
These
mistake, like remember the other game, John, when I accidentally put them in our zone. Yeah, they fucked us up.
the friendly
Yeah,
fire
so
potential
bad.
is, but I mean, I do think they're niche. I do think when the circumstances align, they are extremely good. Like their damage is just incredible, especially against of compared to a lot of other grenades. These things are actually extremely useful against Praetorians.
Mm. It does require the circumstances to be good. Um,
Yeah, you definitely want to kind of think these through and try to
you
help them too sometimes if you have to.
know what?
Like,
I'll put them at the bottom of mission control approves then.
But if Javala's using them, put them in
Akalamataya.
rockets. Javala's using them, put them in rock and stone.
I find myself
Facts.
actually using them when I'm scout, ironically, because I feel so bad if an engineer, like if it's not getting any use, I'll use my scout to run through it so that enemies walk through it and get blown up. So it kind
Oh,
of does it. It will help you out if you if everyone works together and if you place them well to just keep booming
and these shredders, I you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I guess you
right up there.
can't go wrong.
They're so good. Just
They're in the
everything an engineer
IFG league.
wants.
They're in the IFG league when it comes to just how safe of a pick they are.
They're pretty much the best grenade for him now. I mean, everyone picks shredders.
Can't go wrong. Yeah.
Not to mention, you can stack if you're if you're class stacking and you have 4 NGs, 4 shredders is just more and more stun on top of each other, and then you basically, even without laying turrets, you basically have a swarmer-free zone if you're all standing close together.
Just automatically slowing and killing whatever is around you,
It's
whatever
not
is a present threat.
they're not super spectacular, but when it comes to utility and versatility, just can't really go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
they really
safe.
cover your ass. I feel like that's kind of what an engineer also wants. Protect him, help him get his secondary
Strong pointing
online.
or
Yeah,
NG
ready to
strong
kill.
holding, yeah.
It just fits so well. It kind of feels like a better version of the prox mine for me. I guess that's why, especially now, I never use the proximity mine.
Moving on though to drillers. Impact axes for me they're S.
Yeah,
For me they're
they're
S.
his best axe basically.
They're awesome. They're freaking axes. You throw them, they're super satisfying. You can retrieve them. They do a lot of damage to weak points and stuff. You get like 8 of them. They're just great.
Yeah, also against frozen, they deal a lot of damage on the impact and a
Any
little bit of an explosion too.
any qualms, John?
No, because essentially, like if your driller is decked out for a maximum area of effect, it really fills that little void he might be missing.
Yeah, with range and direct damage,
And
absolutely.
weak spot. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. HE grenade, for me, this is like just about good.
Yeah,
it's literally a grenade. You throw it, it blows up.
and it bounces. It's like the sticky, except it bounces instead of sticks. It has almost the same exact like damage and I think fear factor.
Sticky's better though, because more placeable
Yeah, sticky
better.
sticky is definitely better. Because when you really need to bounce anything, I mean, it's kind of good if you builds like tunnels, that are like zigzaggy or have corners, because then you can throw this around a corner and indirectly blow things up. But that is literally the one time it like has a super strong niche. So other than that, I mean, you can use it to blow up enemies. You can use it to blow up Mactera and kind of frighten them, kill them. So it's not terrible. Just weird. Kind of weak.
Hmm. Moving on. This one is John's favorite. I've never used this.
I almost never use it either.
All right. Now, even though I think I put it at the bottom of mission control, maybe
Because it's got a
because like
niche.
I do think like when you force enemies into tight funnels, this thing can clear. Like
Yeah, I've seen it.
it's high risk, but the only problem is that that's the only niche it has because this thing is almost useless just throwing it straight. Like
As a bunker
or
buster,
or
yeah.
its lowest or it's about the lead, as far as like efficiency goes, it's like the absolute bottom tier of the game if you're just throwing it forwards and then hoping that it just hits enemies like a bowling ball.
Since it's
Yeah,
so
it's so weird.
situational, maybe we should actually drop it to just
My
about.
own personal rating is I'd say it's either mid or bottom tier, like literally. So when you don't have a funnel, it really won't do much at all.
It
Mhm.
is solid, but sometimes that funnel could be made for you. It's solid. Now, I might prefer to have another particular grenade in the situation, but Doretta is always leaving behind a tube, and
True.
it's solid in there. Most mining missions are shaped like tubes, the concaves.
It's really
That's
defending this
true.
one.
It does have some uses, yeah. I'll say, I mean, it's also not so good in deep scan though, where it'll just go straight up that mine shaft. Um,
It's
Also
not that
maybe
it
not
won't kill
in
anything. It's just again, it's the bottom tier of efficiency if it's not
yeah.
used the right way.
I mean, even if you do use it the right way, I guess it is good. I kind of almost prefer the other one that's coming up for the same role though.
Another thing that's
Neurotoxin.
ideal, another ideal circumstance for the Ripper, it kind of, and also you get 6 Rippers, right? That's actually another thing I
That's
like
true,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I just really think it's an underrated. Well, I don't even know. Is it disliked as a grenade by the greater community? I can't even tell.
By a lot of players, they don't like it because of how
The
you
the
have to
thing
like
is,
use it in a tunnel.
Driller can make the circumstances where
It's
it
true.
excels.
You
But I
literally
respect that.
can, yeah.
I respect that there are things that are more eminently useful, more often than not.
Yeah,
But
just
it's
that
but,
you
but
can't use it in certain circumstances. Like against the boss, also against like in a salvage where you have to stand in that zone, it's
True.
gonna see a lot less effective.
yeah, unless you get forced back into your bunker or something, which isn't even an ideal circumstance to begin with.
Yeah.
But this thing can kill like if you lead a glyphid grunt swarm into like a narrow tube, it'll clear most of them per wave.
That's true. I've
Praetorians
seen
and
that.
oppressors can kind of it can even screw up a Praetor. It can even screw up oppressors a little bit, although well, usually at the cost of the Ripper because it can only do a certain amount of damage before it.
Yeah, I'll give it like here.
I respect effective, yeah. I mean it's a controversial one.
The last grenade. This is neurotoxin. I have not used this much. I feel like it's effective.
Yeah, it's definitely effective. It's a little maybe obsolete slightly because you can get neurotoxin effects off of the wave cooker and corrosive. Although obviously, if you don't have that, then you can't get neurotoxin. Neurotoxic payload also spreads neurotoxin, and when I have this grenade and neurotoxic like gunner, like it makes me kind of sad because he's already doing what I want to be doing my grenade, but it does affect a very wide area, and it is flammable. So if you have something with fire, it can blow it up after getting the poison out to get like extra value. So it's really not bad. I would say, yeah, it's pretty effective overall. Certainly not bad at all.
What do you think, Sean?
It's debilitating. It has excellent. That's something too. This thing's radius is crazy.
Yeah, it is really
I
wide.
think I think it's easily like somewhere in the 10-meter range, right, Justin?
Yeah, it's huge.
One major drawback of this grenade, though, it can be inadvertently detonated by fire weapons.
True.
It's very bad when that happens. That's kind of what makes it feel so low. People would always blow it up when I want it to
Now,
be
if
really
we're
low.
playing together and we can coordinate that, it's not such a big deal. But this is a tough grenade to use with random teams. I will say that.
Yeah.
What about the placement? Think it should go higher or stay?
I think it's effective at least.
Hmm.
Yeah,
There
definitely.
are a
I think
few
it's better maybe than the
circumstances.
explosive, that
Here's the thing,
little
though. The real thing
HE.
that shines about this grenade, you can actually single hand it with coordination. If a swarm redundant, right?
No.
But if the swarm triggers, like all a driller has to do is just drop really 2 or 3 of these well timed, and nobody else has to shoot a shot.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's effective. Um, moving on then to just the equipment of each class. Really fast, we can rapid fire this. The flare gun, very useful. I mean, it's not necessary, but to light up ceilings, seek out cave leeches and whatnot.
Yeah,
Very
it's
Great
pretty
for
strong.
finding nitra.
And nitro, yes. It's very strong utility. Grappling hook, it's S. I mean, what is the scout without the grappling hook? You
exactly.
know? It's mission control, you know?
It's unlimited too. It's the only unlimited equipment.
Oh yeah. It's literally infinite. Like it's nothing really better. Um the platform gun would go below for me. Very useful to traverse. You can't traverse as fast, but you can also traverse with your team
Probably
using
the
the
most
platform.
creative weapon in the game by a mark.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry, I said weapon. It's probably the most creative tool in the game.
Yeah,
Creates
absolutely.
creates terrain, whereas nothing else can do that. Everything else destroys terrain, but
Oh
this is
yeah, get it? Creative. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Literally.
And the funneling too with the bug repellent. Just making playgrounds to jump around on can really save your life as an engineer.
In addition, the drills of driller, I mean, they're his
What is
thing.
Driller without them? Yeah.
Yeah, literally. They're his thing. Um, satchels, not as integral to Gunner, but still really strong. I mean,
You mean Driller?
yeah, for his satchel charges. As an equipment
Can be
piece, yeah,
They
very
are
strong.
pretty strong and good for bosses. Good for rounding out his killing, especially if you're doing something like again the cryo that's like it's less immediate killing, like but you still have a satchel, so you can
Hmm.
still get a ton of kills with it.
The reason I don't put it in S is just you could play without it. Like you could just forget. Although that's, it's very useful.
Yeah, it's a lot of utility though. Yeah,
It's a good token. It's good. It's good. It's a good token. Equipment for damage. It's satisfying to mine with, even though you don't really need to. Great for popping out error cubes because it's not always clear like where they are in their little um mark. Like it's not always clear like where they are relative to the markings on the wall.
Hmm. Useful, really useful. Shield generator. I mean, this is S.
saves a
I
mission.
mean, yeah, fit. Would you guys put it above the platform?
I would put
No,
it probably below the platform. You know, I don't
for
know. They're kind of
tricking.
neck and neck.
Yeah.
If you have to really hold an area, it's more useful than any others. But if you don't have to hold a specific area, it's like inherently like just much less useful than them.
Yeah. But it's definitely
The
S
best thing about
tier.
the shield generator is that only a select few things in the game can sort of counter it. Those being shellbacks with the right angles to infiltrate.
And like a lot of like explosive damage that just is so high that it hits you through the shield and kills you, which is kind of a
Yes.
little rare.
Hmm. Really strong though. Zipline launcher. For me, this is A, above flare gun.
I'd put it lower in the tier below because personally I don't like how it's
It's
so
Gunner's
limited.
only traversal.
It's true. I just feel like, they could give him more and it still wouldn't even be broken because every time you're on a zip line, pretty much the scout's gonna grapple ahead of you. The driller will probably make a staircase through the floor, and then the engineer will just make platform stairs. Very few times will they ever like think. Only when it's very long and wide is it actually best for everyone to get on the zip line and just go down or up.
Now, what
Aside
I
from that,
will
it's
say,
really not
Justin,
that
is
great.
that to counter that, when the game doesn't spawn flyers or spinning plants, you can just be on a zip and ground enemies can't touch you if you're far away
That's
enough
true.
from other terrain. Also, the can be used by every dwarf, especially like imagine a dwarf is falling out the sky. He can quickly catch that zip. Um, you can also use it to move heavy things, unlike Scout's grappling hook.
Gunner and Scout are a solid duo because it can double as a niche trapeze for Scout
I
to
do
do
often use
big
it
mining.
for that exact purpose. Yeah,
The
it
last
does
thing
have
I
a
would
lot of.
say is when you're getting to the drop pod, like if Gunner left a lot of zips, if you're like a class without mobility, that could be a lifesaver.
My favorite life's I actually really love the trapeze niche because I've had more than one point extraction where the cave was for the most part like a shaft formation, and then like if you're the if you have some team members down, you need to quickly get back to the bottom. You can just like bungee, you can just like free jump and catch it at the bottom.
Hmm. It's awesome. It has a lot of
Simply put,
utility.
yeah,
Like,
I like using it as a I like using it as a trapeze.
Yeah, it's crazy utility. It's just there's only four of them. That's the thing that
sure.
grinds my gears. I wish at least if you could pick up the last one that you shot down and kind of like use it over and over again. I think that would be so good, and it wouldn't be broken. It's not like you
Equipment
have infinite.
overclocks. Equipment overclocks. If they
Uh
existed.
if they'll ever do it in a million years, maybe.
Last one. The turrets for
Godlike. I
for
love them.
engineer. You could engineer without turrets, but it's like why? Um,
Yeah, it's just so much help. Just automated damage, automated swarmer killing out of the sky or out of the ground. Stun.
And you know what?
Uh,
Passively, I think they do. I think they are programmed to prioritize swarmer types when they can.
that would
yeah, they
make
kill him
sense.
pretty quick.
Yeah, you can turret whip. You can get the heavy turn, do a little bit more damage. You can hold points. Very useful. Very useful equipment. Yeah.
It alone boosts NG's kills by so much.
And to
Hmm.
be honest, like when like if you do a 4 NG stack, the turrets in unison is quite overpowered because
Oh
then you
yeah,
only need like one player like just constantly turret whipping. 8 turret whips active, 4 to 8 I mean, I guess everyone could be running heavy turrets, but 4 to 8 turret whips active at once is actually really freaking broken.
Yeah. Seems awesome. But yeah. Do you guys disagree with any placement?
no, only minor gripes really, but for the most part, it's pretty much how I'd say I think the game is.
I only have a few gripes with my biases, like with the Subata, which is kind of my lack of branching out,
And
branching
I
out
guess the
from my
Ripper.
beloved my beloved explosive reload that was murdered.
It's okay. It's okay. Still
Well,
blows them up.
I think we're done here then, guys. The Deep Rock
Yeah, fine.
equipment and weapons tier list. Um, if anyone's made it this far, thank you for watching. Let us know what you think is wrong with this tier list, if anything, or if it's perfect. Let us know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching.